You didn't know you could get club card prices on Tesco travel insurance? Get away. Save 15% on your travel insurance in our summer sale and join over 1 million customers who've already trusted us with their cover. Buy direct using your club card to get 15% off, but only until the 8th of July. Don't miss our summer sale. Search Tesco Travel Insurance and get a quote direct today. Underwritten by AWP P&C SA. Offer excludes add-ons. T's and C's apply.
Commuting to work? Pretty slow, isn't it? More time in the car. Joy. Maybe you don't feel it. Maybe you don't drive a Lexus NX yet. But when you do, you'll see the positive of peak hour, the delight in a detour, the love of the long way. The Lexus NX plug-in hybrid. Experience amazing before you arrive.
Now with Lidl Plus, collect points that you can turn into possibilities. Pepper abilities, pasta abilities, burrata abilities, kayak abilities. So collect and spend your Lidl Plus points on hundreds of rewards or money off coupons. Lidl, more to value. Exclusions apply for T's and C's. Lidl.co.uk/LPTV 18+ GB only.
What's on TV? The answer is a lot. There's never been more choice over what to put on the box with an abundance of great new shows, but you can miss them all if you don't know where to look. And that's where the Pilot TV podcast comes in, your essential guide to every show that matters. Each week we sift through the very best in prestige TV to help you decide what's worth spending your time on and what isn't. So join me, James Dyer, as well as venerable TV critics Boyd Hilton and Kay Ribeiro, and let us help take the stress out of your downtime. The Pilot TV podcast, because you can't watch everything.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with White and Mackay, where wit, wisdom and experience still make occasional last-minute appearances. Smoothly does it. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Just 3 games to go in the Scottish Premiership with so much at stake. This weekend, St Mirren and Kilmarnock face off as they battle to get away from the relegation playoff spot. Elsewhere this afternoon, Falkirk take on Hibs, Dundee host Livingston and Aberdeen face Dundee United, and then all attention turns to the title race. Table toppers Hearts look to take a step closer to the title when they go to Fir Park tonight, and then the Old Firm derby tomorrow. I'm Andrew Maclean. Joining me in the studio are Gordon Dalziel, Cammy Bell and Hugh Keevins.
Hearts have not beaten Motherwell at Fir Park since 2023. If I am able to repeat that statistic tomorrow morning when we come back on air for Celtic's game against Rangers, then we have a title race on our hands. If I have to revise history and Hearts have beaten Motherwell at Fir Park, then it's over and done with in my estimation, and Celtic and Rangers tomorrow will be battling it out for the Championship of Glasgow. That's the way I see it, and I'm also looking forward to St Mirren Kilmarnock. That is a vital one in terms of who has to avoid the relegation playoff final.
Excitement all over the country. You've got to say we're in for a fantastic week of football. Twists and turns. I still think there's a lot of twists and turns. You look at the top of the league, you look at the bottom of the league, you look at the playoffs, you look at everything that's happening with the build up to the last game, the Scottish Cup final. But today for Hearts, I think is massive.
Yeah, we will have plenty of build-up for that game at Fir Park later, for the game at Celtic Park tomorrow, before 3 o'clock kick-offs in the Scottish Premiership with so much at stake, Cammy.
Yeah, a huge amount at stake. You certainly look at the St Mirren Kilmarnock game today as a blockbuster for me at bottom of the table, trying to avoid that playoff relegation battle. It's a massive game for Kilmarnock. One away win all season, but certainly they got that big win against Dundee United last week, which will put them in good confidence. And listen, Craig McLeish has got a huge job on his hands to try and get St Mirren away from it. So that's a massive game. And then you also look at the Falkirk Hibs game. For me, Falkirk an opportunity to jump ahead of Hibs today, so that's a really good game to look forward. But what a weekend of football we've got ahead ourselves.
So many big games to come, and we will bring you the full coverage here on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. We are here until 6 o'clock, bringing you through those 3 o'clock games, that massive one at Fir Park later on, and we are back tomorrow for that game, Celtic midweek against Rangers, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts a bit later on everything that is going on. But for now, let's go around the grounds, get a taste, a flavour of the action, what's to come at 3 o'clock. Let's start, shall we? Have to start really at the Smiza Stadium with St Mirren against Kilmarnock. David Friel is there for us.
Yes, Andrew, and I know it's hard, but I think we have to forget the top of the table for a little while at the very least and focus on the bottom. And Cammy said it's a blockbuster. What a game this is going to be. St Mirren sitting 11th place in that relegation playoff spot on 30 points. Kilmarnock sit 10th, just 1 point above them on 31. If Neil McCann's side can leave Paisley with a win, and it's a big if, you have to imagine that would be a major step towards safety. But likewise, St Mirren, what a chance they've got to go above their rivals and try and get 3 points here. Craig McLeish's side have lost their last 3 in the league. They badly need to get back to winning ways, or they could be heading for that playoff spot. They've got a trip to Pittodrie in midweek to face former manager Stephen Robinson, and they really want to be going there on a high. As for Kelly, I think their first task is to make sure they can last 60 seconds without conceding. Neil McCann's side have shipped goals inside the first minute in their last 3 away games, against Falkirk, against Hibs, against Aberdeen. It's an unbelievable start. If they can get past that mark, they will feel they've got a chance here, and they're obviously boosted by that 3-0 win over Dundee United last weekend. However, Kelly have once again had their troubles on the road this season. They've got just 1 win in 17 games. It's the worst record in the league. Neil McCann wants to address that long term, but I think in the short term he just needs to try and get 3 points here. St Mirren have made 3 changes. Just go through the teams here just now. Marcus Fraser, Liam Donnelly and Conor McMenamin are in for Jayden Richardson, Richard King and Scott Tanser. They're going to line up Ross Sinclair in goals, back 3 of Marcus Fraser, Liam Donnelly and Miguel Freckleton. Midfield 5, Mark O'Hara, Jacob Devaney, Alan Campbell, Conor McMenamin and Killian Phillips, with Roland Ndrew and Mikael Mandron as the front 2. Subs for St Mirren are Tamas Avikius, Duff, Tanser, King, Richardson, Falconer, Calvin, Douglas and Young. As for Kelly, just 1 change. Dom Thompson comes in at left back. That means Michael Schoening Larson moves over to right back, and Finlay Curtis is freed up to go up to the wing. So Kelly going to line up Max Stryk in goals, Michael Schoening Larson, George Stanger, Robbie Dees and Dom Thompson at the back. Midfield 3 of Greg Kiltie, Armtish Bola and Tom Lowry, with Finlay Curtis, Joe Hugo and Nicky Klishenko in attack. Subs for Kelly are Wright, Williams, Mayo, McKenzie, Watson, McGuinness, Anderson, Watkins and Polworth. The referee at the Smiza is Don Robertson and the VAR is Andrew Dallas.
Is it a very simple case that whoever wins this game today puts themselves in the driving seat to finish outside of the relegation playoff spot?
I think so. The momentum is probably with Kilmarnock, but the other factor here is the loss of Alec Gogic for St Mirren. He is massive for them. However, Andrew, in the spirit of this season, who knows, because Kilmarnock score a lot more goals than St Mirren do. Kilmarnock concede a lot more goals than St Mirren do. Anybody's game, anybody's guess. My guess is Killie win.
The stat that David said there about Kilmarnock conceding in the opening 60 seconds of their last 3 away games, it's incredible. For it to happen once, not great. For it to happen twice, 3 times in a row, I mean, it simply can't happen today.
No, listen, it's a difficult one. Does Neil McCann even mention it in the team talk? Because I'm pretty sure he obviously previously has in away games. But Kilmarnock's away record this season has been horrendous. There's no getting away from it. 1 win all season away from home, and that's the reason that it gives me a little bit of the fear that Kilmarnock might not get a result today, or might not get the 3 points, certainly, because they've been so poor away from home. Hugh's right. Listen, Kilmarnock have conceded 66 goals in the league. That's not good enough. They managed to get the clean sheet last week. They'll be looking for the same today, and it's a big game for both teams.
You go along with Hugh in saying that Kilmarnock's go in with more momentum?
Yeah, I do. I fear for St Mirren. They've not got that bit of form that I'd be confident enough, especially at home, to beat Kilmarnock. I know that everybody talks about Kilmarnock's away record. If I Neil McCann, I'm easily saying to my players before they go out, right, lose a goal quickly, we've got 89 minutes to get back into the game, and probably they wouldn't lose a goal. But I think that'll be a cracker today. Packed house out there. I think it'll be a good game. It'll be a nervous game. And if St Mirren lose that today, for me, they're a guaranteed playoff.
From the bottom of the table, let's go into the top 6 at the Falkirk Stadium. Falkirk against Hibs. Gabriel Antoniazzi's there.
Yeah, Andrew, good afternoon. It's 5th against 6th here at the Falkirk Stadium. A few weeks ago, the hosts looked like they might be content with bottom of the top half. A good achievement nonetheless, but they've managed to reel Hibs closer in, and their European dream is alive. John Maclean's side are just 2 points behind, meaning a win today, of course, would put them above David Gray's team. And what an achievement that would be for Falkirk upon their return to the top flight, proving they rightly deserve to be here. They are not in the best form recently, Andrew. Just 2 wins in their last 7. Incidentally, both of them coming against Motherwell. The Hibs form is even worse. Ill discipline has been the story of the past month for the Leith side. 4 reds in their last 3 games. We know all about that. And they've won just 1 of their last 7. 3 losses in a row. And their season has tailed off, really. They can still secure Europe this season, although 4th is looking like a very big arse now. They're 6 points behind Motherwell, so they may well end up relying on Celtic beating Dunfermline in the Scottish Cup final at the end of the month. Although that is, of course, unless Falkirk leapfrog them across these remaining games, which they very well may do. Team news then. Falkirk just 1 change from the team who beat Motherwell last weekend. Kyrell Wilson comes in for Ben Broggio, who's amongst the substitutes. So it's Nicky Hogarth in goal. Back 4 of Philip Lisa, Lewis Nielsen, Connor Allen and Leon McCann. Brad Spencer, Finn Yates and Dylan Tate in the middle. Kyrell Wilson, Calvin Miller out wide, Barney Stewart through the middle. Substitutes Snedden, Henderson, Donaldson, Graham, McIver, Broggio, Cartwright, Ross and Parkinson. 6 changes for the visitors, Andrew. Says a lot about where Hibs are right now. Hanley, Salinger and Paslak all return from suspension. Barlaza, Campbell and Obita are back in as well. Smith, Bashiri, Megwa, Newell and Cadden all make way. Jamie McGrath is suspended. So it will be their usual 3-5-2 formation. Raphael Salinger in goal. Grant Hanley, Warren O'Hora and Jack Iredale, the back 3. Felix Paslak, Jordan Obita, the wing-backs. Miguel Chaiwa, Daniel Barlaza and Josh Campbell make up the midfield 3. And the 2 up top, Martin Boyle and Owen Elding. Substitutes are Smith, Newell, Cadden, Megwa, Andrews, Garananga, Scarlett and Suso. The referee here, Ryan Lee, and the VAR, Matthew McDermott.
That win for Falkirk against Motherwell last time out, it's really opened things up.
Yeah. David Gray has to be careful at Easter Road, because to finish bottom of the top 6, if I can put it like that, is not acceptable to the Hibs supporters. They have a squad that ought to be better than that. The changes that he's made today, 6 in total, ordinarily you would say that's a sign of a manager who's just a little bit confused by things, but I think they've been made for the better. Grant Hanley coming back will be for the good of Hibs. But this is a Falkirk side who have had an outstanding season. They know the incentive that's in front of them relative to Europe. I'm not sure Hibs can get all 3 points there.
Yeah, people have been focusing on the top of the table, obviously, because of what's happening in the title race. If people hadn't really been focusing on what's going on at the bottom of the top 6, might be surprised to see that Falkirk can leapfrog Hibs with a win today. Yeah,
they've kind of went under the radar. Again, where Hibs have faltered is certainly the red cards in the last 3 games. They can't keep 11 players on the pitch, which is always going to hurt you, especially when you're at this level playing against teams in the top 6. So that's first and foremost. David Gray will be making sure that his players are disciplined today and have 11 players on the pitch. But I think it's a fantastic opportunity for Falkirk today. I really actually fancy Falkirk to go and get a result today and get the 3 points. I think the John McGlynn's had a brilliant season. He wants to end it well. They've got the players that can hurt Hibs as well. They're fast going forward. They're very precise when they've got the ball. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game.
It would be an incredible achievement if Falkirk were able to finish 5th, and as Hugh says, it would be extremely disappointing if Hibs ended up dropping down and finishing 6th this season.
Where I do agree with Hugh is I think David Gray needs to be very, very careful. 6 for Hibs. And then if Hearts go and win the league, adds to that pressure. Let's not be kidded here. But you're right. Look, doesn't matter. For me personally, it doesn't matter if Falkirk finish 6th or 5th. They've been incredible this season anyway. But it's a great incentive. They've got it in their own hands today. They're at home. I know what Cammy's saying. I think that'll be another cracking game.
Talk about a twin dilemma in the city of Edinburgh. Hearts become the champions and Hibs don't even make Europe. Greyfriars Bobby will get no sleep.
Let's go back to the bottom 6. Dens Park, Dundee against Livingston with Fraser Wishart.
Yeah, Dundee still got a bit to do, Andrew, to confirm their Premiership status next year. They've been in and around the playoff spot for most of the season, and a run of 4 games before the split without a win, followed by a heavy defeat in the derby at Tannadice. Post-split meant alarm bells were ringing a couple of weeks ago around Dens Park, and last week's game against St Mirren was vital, but they managed to get that win, and they're now 6 points ahead of Saints with 3 games to go, and it would take a really unlikely run of results for both St Mirren and Kelly to overtake Dundee, but it's still possible. So Stephen Presley will want to win this game today. Take care of their own business, don't rely on anybody else, and put all that to bed. 3 points and they are safe. And I think if you're being honest, Stephen Presley couldn't ask for a better chance today. Livingston formerly relegated last weekend. In midweek, Marvin Bartley, who's improved the team, he resigned after being asked to apply for his own job. Scott Arfield's on temporary charge for a week, so you can't really see Livy offering too much, although you never know in this game, because they were better before when Marvin took over than they were beforehand, but they're well organised. They got them, and they got a win against them a couple of weeks ago. So Dundee just need to be wary. They perhaps don't know what to expect. Get on top of Livingston early on, get a goal ahead, and then confirm the victory. It doesn't matter how it's done, just get the 3 points, because you can't see anything else other than a home win today. And then the Dens Park fans and the club can enjoy their last couple of games and probably look back a decent season overall. The team news: 4-3-3 formation for Dundee. Just one change, it was enforced. John McCracken, the goalie, limped off last week, and Kieran Hara, who replaced him, has come into the starting 11. So Kieran Hara's in goals, Brad Halliday, Ryan Astley, Luke Graham and Ndrew right at the back. In midfield, Jan Danda, Ethan Hamilton, Joe Wesley, with Cameron Congreve, Simon Murray and Tony Yogani as the forwards. Harry Sharp, Billy Cometio, Finn Robertson, Ashley Hayes, Mary Samuels, Charlie Riley, Joel Cotterill, Scott Wright and Callum Jones are the subs. And Scott Arfield, he's made 4 changes to the team, and he's changed the formation to 4-3-3. Out go McGowan, Montano, May and Arfield himself. He's not even stripped. And in come Kerr, Tate, Mackay and Pittman. So 4-3-3, Jerome Prior in goals, Cammy Kerr, Danny Wilson, Brooklyn, Cobangolo and Dan Finlayson at the back. Across the midfield, Macaulay Tate, Mohamed Silla and Scott Pittman, with Lewis Smith, Joel Newbley and Barry Mackay as the strikers. Jack Hamilton, Babacar Fati, Emmanuel Danso, Christian Montano, Robbie Muirhead, Aidan Deno's back after a long injury spell, Stevie May, Josh Zimmerman and Samson Lowell are the substitutes. Referee today at Dens is Colin Stephen, and the VAR is Grant Irvin.
We heard Hugh and Gordon's take on Marvin Bartley's resignation at the end of the week. Cammy, we've not heard from you on it. Were you surprised that happened on Thursday?
Yeah, I was surprised initially, and then when you hear the story of what's happened and being asked to reapply for the job, I can understand the way he's went about his business, and he's stepped away from the club. I think Marvin will be hurting a bit, because I think he's done a great job since he's went in. He steadied the ship. Yes, they didn't get as many wins as he would have wanted to, but certainly they were very competitive, a number of draws, and then they finally got that victory they were looking for such a long time. So yeah, listen, I think it was a little bit strange, but also when you hear the circumstances of being asked to apply for a job that you were almost told you would get the opportunity to lead the club, whether you got relegated or not, understand why he's made that decision.
He's been treated shamefully, but he'll speak for himself, and very soon, and on this programme. So I'll leave that to Marvin, but in my estimation he has been treated shamefully. What he leaves behind: players who go to Dundee disillusioned by the fact that they've now been demoted. They'll be championship players next season, and against a Dundee side who I think will end the season with a flourish. That's a stick-on home win.
What it tells you is one thing, that Scott Arfield didn't agree with his tactics, his formation, everything, because he's changed. He's ripped it all up. Have a look at what Livingston were doing. They had and there's a good 2-2 against Aberdeen last week as well.
Yeah.
They got their victory, as Cammy says, at Paisley. Big Marv done a brilliant job
they
there.
Were extremely hard to beat, weren't they?
Very hard to beat.
Yeah, and he's been up against Rangers, very unlucky against Rangers as well.
Got a draw against Hearts.
Yeah, exactly. But look, I don't mind a new interim manager, coach, whatever you want to call him, coming in, putting his own stamp on it. I agree with the boys. I'll be on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to listening to Big Marv and some of my comments going towards him.
And finally, for the 3 o'clock kickoffs, let's go to Pittodrie. Dave Galloway is going to be watching Aberdeen against Dundee United.
People would be excused for thinking this is pretty much a meaningless match. Andrew, Aberdeen virtually safe in the top flights, and Dundee United within touching distance of confirming 7th place. Both managers would insist otherwise, however. Stephen Robinson's preparing to clear the decks with a major summer overhaul of his squad as a massively frustrating campaign nears its end. He says he knows who he wants to keep and who he wants to move on, but can his players force their way into his plans? The Dons have gained 7 points in 3 games, but last weekend could only draw away to Livingston. After the Tangerines' fourth place finish last season, Jim Goodwin expected better this time than to be in the bottom half of the table, and he could also have a squad rebuild coming up. So could that give his men some added incentive this afternoon? Another big crowd expected here for Pittodrie's last Saturday game of the campaign. Let's take a look at the teams then. And two changes for Aberdeen. Knooster and Gyamfi are in for Jensen and Frame. So Meetoff in goals, Morrison, Knooster and Malloy, the back three, Milne, Geiger, Aremu and Gyamfi in midfield, with Armstrong playing off the front two of Olusanya and Nisbet. Subs for the Dons today, Suman, Devlin, Frame, Shinnie, Bilalovic, Palaversa, Cameron, Buomono and Keskinen. Dundee United, well, they certainly have rung the changes. 4 changes, and it looks like a change of formation of sorts anyway. In come Strain, Iovu, Chevet and Ferrugia. Out drop Cleel Harding, Kamara, Ferrugia and Waters. So we will have for Dundee United Richards in goals, Iovu, Graham and Carestes at the back. Midfield, Strain, Chevet, Aguier and Namo, with Sapsford and Ferry playing off Ferrugia up top. Your match referee, I'll give you the Dundee United subs first, let's not miss them out. The subs for United: Adams, Camara, Eskinen, Sibbald, Dolchek, Sturton, Waters, Cleel Harding and Russell. Your match referee at Pittodrie is Duncan Nicholson, and Chris Graham is on VAR.
And you might have heard there are 2 other games in the Scottish Premiership this weekend. We'll get into those next.
With Betfred, when you bet £10, you get £50 in free bets. So, want to back your new striker to score the first goal? Your midfield maestro to get the assist? Want to say there'll be a header? Want to see their striker caught offside? He was born offside. Want to predict the final score? Or both teams to score? Want to get involved for 90 minutes? Want to nick it in extra time? Want to bet £10 and get £50 in free bets? Want to bet? Betfred. New online customers only. 5 £10 free bets. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
What? You didn't know you could get club card prices on Tesco travel insurance? Get away. Save 15% on your travel insurance in our summer sale and join over 1 million customers who've already trusted us with their cover. Buy direct using your club card to get 15% off, but only until the 8th of July. Don't miss our summer sale. Search Tesco Travel Insurance and get a quote direct today. Underwritten by AWP P&C SA. Offer excludes add-ons. T's and C's apply.
Oh, bad traffic. Great news, isn't it? More time in the car. Joy. Maybe you don't feel it. Maybe you don't drive a Lexus NX yet. But when you do, you'll see the positive of peak hour, the delight in a detour, the love of the long way. The Lexus NX plug-in hybrid. Experience amazing before you arrive.
You're listening to the Clyde One SuperScoreBoard podcast, the home of Scottish football. And it's proudly sponsored by White and Mackay Triple Matured Whisky. This is what Scottish football waits decades for. The split is done. The excuses are gone. And for once, the title race is still wide open. 3 teams, 1 trophy, and a very real chance this season goes right down to the final game. Hearts believe this is their moment. Rangers believe momentum will decide it. Celtic believe history never lies. This isn't about form or calm thinking. It's about pressure, belief, and keeping your nerve when everything is on the line. So pour yourself a dram. Strap yourself in. Because if this does go to the last day, we're about to witness something truly special. This is Clyde One SuperScoreBoard podcast. Proudly sponsored by White and Mackay Triple Matured Whisky. Smoothly does it.
A Rayo original podcast.
Work. It's changing, and so's how we feel about it. The podcast that will guide you through getting ahead, growing your interests, and still having a little life outside of it is Reworking. Join me, Tim Campbell, and my guests, Alistair Campbell, journalist Anna Whitehouse, entrepreneur Mike Suter, comedian Russell Kane, and many, many more. Listen from May the 11th on the Rayo app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
St Mirren against Kilmarnock, Aberdeen, Dundee United, Dundee, Livingston and Falkirk Hibernian is your 3 o'clock offering in the Scottish Premiership today. We'll go back around those grounds shortly, but let's touch on a couple of other games that are happening this weekend, Hugh.
Well, get ready for this one, Daz.
Go.
If Hearts won tonight against Motherwell, it's HEA, RTS, CHA, MPS. Hearts are champs.
I thought you were going to go through the full World Champions there.
No.
Testing your own spelling.
I didn't know until I listened to the programme on Thursday night the Hearts song was actually written by a St Mirren fan. That great song that whips up Tynecastle, written by a St Mirren fan.
Hector Nicol?
Yeah.
A comedian of all times. Listen, I'm not going to disagree with you. I've got to say,
a win for Hearts wins the league.
A win for Hearts does it for me. I know that Celtic could win tomorrow. I know the goal difference. I know all that. But in front of that crowd at Tynecastle on Wednesday night against Falkirk, I know Falkirk have been there and obviously put them out with penalty kicks and everything like that. But I just think it too big an incentive, and the goal margin would be too big for Celtic.
Yeah, I've got to agree with the guys. I think tonight is the defining night for Hearts. Certainly to try and get that big step towards the title. Listen, if they weren't to win tonight, they've still got a right chance of winning the title. But I think if they get 3 points tonight, I really do think that's a huge step towards it, because I agree with Daz. Midweek game, it'll be a difficult game against Falkirk. It's at Tynecastle though for me, so the occasion, everything, the incentives there, it'll take care of itself.
How do you see it, David Frail, as a win for Hearts, a title winning victory?
I'm not sure title winning, Andrew, but I do think, as Cammy says, it could be defining. You know, I feel it's theirs to throw away now, and if they can get over this hurdle, and it's a big hurdle, then I think they will be almost there. But I think we also need to realise that Hearts away form hasn't been great. The last couple of months, I know they beat Hibs, who had 9 men, but before that I think they'd only taken 1 point from 12 on the road, so this is a huge test for them. It's a test of nerve as well, as Motherwell being a very good team. Motherwell have got their own targets to play for as well, so yeah, I think if they could get past this and get 3 points, I think they'd probably have more than one hand in the trophy.
Yeah, people have been talking about Hearts' mentality all season. Fraser Wishart, it's now down to the final 3 games. Derek McInnes was saying this week that nobody can question Hearts' mentality because of where they find themselves. Will tonight be another test of that?
Well, it's a huge test, and I think that Motherwell are one of these teams that they hate the phrase kingmakers, but they're going to have a role to play, because Celtic have still got to play them as well. And I saw the 3-3 draw at the start of the season between Hearts and Motherwell at Tynecastle. The best performance I've seen was Motherwell for the first 65 minutes, but Hearts came back into it 3-3. So I was a bit fortunate to get a draw that day. I was also 0-0 at Fir Park as well, and again Motherwell dominated Hearts, and Hearts were quite happy. Spoke to Derek McInnes after the game, quite happy to get a point after what went on there. So this is tricky, not only because Motherwell's performance over the season has been great, particularly against Hearts, but as we've all been doing, you're all looking at the stats, and I'm sure there's a whole load of more followers for social media, all these statisticians, people who give us all that information. It's all brilliant, you know, and Hearts will have a shot at it no matter what, a shot at the title on the last day of the season, and it could be that Celtic need to win by 3 goals against Hearts, and that's not impossible given the big crowd as well. So we're in for a fascinating end. I've just got a feeling Hearts will win this game, and I said a couple of weeks ago I thought they'd win the title. Others said Rangers and Celtic. I don't think any of us were 100% certain, but tonight is a big hurdle. If they get over this one, then I think they're virtually there.
Motherwell are going through a sticky spell of results, just 1 win in their last 7, but you just need to look back to that game at Ibrox. You just can't rule Motherwell out of anything the way they've performed this season. Yeah,
I've said that if Hearts win tonight, I think they're guaranteed to go and win the title. I don't think they'll win. No, I think Motherwell will at least get a point tonight. I think Motherwell have been excellent against Hearts, and I think Fraser touched on it there. You also look at back to the game not that long ago. Maswanisi has missed a sitter to make it 2-0 and put Hearts to bed. That game's finished. Hearts, credit to them, come back, they win the game 3-1. Now, they've got that character, and people keep saying, oh, it's a pressure one. They've lived with this pressure at the top of the league for how many weeks now? Months and months and months. They've been absolutely brilliant. I think going to Fir Park, Motherwell found that bit of form again. They took the dip. But if you look at Motherwell's record at Fir Park, they don't lose a lot of goals, right? They've come off that performance against Rangers. I think this will be a great game, but I don't see Hearts getting 3 points.
And then all eyes will look to Celtic Park tomorrow for an Old Firm game that is having a build-up like no other, because all of a sudden there is a third entity in there that every time you talk about Celtic and every time you talk about Rangers, you have to talk about Hearts.
If Hearts win tonight, and I accept what Gordon is saying, that it's by no means a foregone conclusion, but if they win, they go 6 points ahead of Celtic and 10 ahead of Rangers. So that affects the atmosphere around Celtic and Rangers tomorrow. It won't deaden the atmosphere, because there is nothing in this world that would ever deaden the atmosphere of a Celtic Rangers game, but realism would set in. I think the Celtic and Rangers supporters would know it's Hearts' title, and they have to fight out a 138-year-old battle between themselves tomorrow. But if Hearts win tonight, if Hearts don't win tonight, drop anything, then Celtic Park is re-energised tomorrow, because both Celtic and Rangers will believe there's a chink of light. So the tone is set tomorrow by what happens tonight.
There is a unique narrative to every single Old Firm game, David Friel. This one in itself is maybe more crazy than most we've seen over the years.
Yeah, it is, and I think a big question this week is what Rangers team will turn up, because the last two games against Motherwell and Hearts, they've basically collapsed. What was a very live title bid has pretty much gone. I know it's not officially over, but it would take an amazing sequence of results for Rangers to get back into it now. But then you look at the record against Celtic at Celtic Park. They've won the last two visits. I don't think Celtic have beaten them over 90 minutes in 20 months, and Rangers have managed to get wins over Celtic at times, even though it hasn't really counted for much at the end of the season. There's so many different subplots to this. I think Danny Rowe's under pressure. I think for Martin O'Neill it's going to be his last game against Rangers as Celtic manager. He was out at Lennoxtown yesterday, Andrew, and he was kind of reminiscing about his very first one, which everybody remembers is the 6-2 game, but he had Henrik Larsson and Chris Sutton that day, with Lubo Moravcik, Stilian Petrov, all the rest of them behind him. He doesn't have players of that calibre. He would take any sort of win tomorrow to try and keep this going, but it's a really tough one to call, because I think Rangers will be fired up to try and make some form of amends for what's happened the last couple of weeks, and you wouldn't put it past them getting a result tomorrow.
Yeah, it's pretty simple for Celtic. It's a case of just trying to win to keep their title hopes alive, keep as close to Hearts as they possibly can, no matter what happens tonight. A lot of people would accept that it is extremely unlikely that Rangers are going to win the title. Is stopping Celtic from winning the title, can that act as any extra motivation for them?
Of course it can. Let's not be kidding. Rangers have not a chance in the world of winning the title.
I know some callers on this show this week are saying otherwise.
Yeah, listen, forget about that. There's absolutely not a chance in this world, and I think that any real Rangers fan out there looking at the team knows that they're not going to win it, and there need to be a collapse somewhere in this league for Rangers to even get there. But it's all about tomorrow for them, because I think it's important for a manager. We're on this programme, and all of a sudden, slowly but surely, there are fans turning against the manager. Now, I'm not saying that he should be sacked, right? But there's a lot of Rangers fans out there saying he should be. Now, if he goes tomorrow at Parkhead and he gets turned over, the pressure increases on him, so it's massive for him as well. Some of the players have been questioned, but then you're looking at a Celtic team that every single week you look at them and think, oh, they're not playing particularly well, they're not doing this well, they're not doing that, but they get results. And I think because of what's going to happen tonight, that'll play a big part in it. Let's not be kidding. If Hearts win tonight, then the pressure does ramp up in Celtic, no doubt in that. But I do not think Rangers, and I know what David's saying, they've been there before. The second half performance with Chermiti scoring the goals and everything was brilliant for them. See, right now, I look at Rangers team, I don't think they'll get the character tomorrow to go and win them.
That's the accusation against Danny Rule. Picks the wrong team, as in Andreas Skov-Olsen appearing out of nowhere against Hearts at Tynecastle last Monday and doing absolutely nothing. Also, can't change in-game. Derek McInnes can change everything at half-time when one down. Danny Rule seems confused by the changes that Derek McInnes makes. Hearts win 2-1.
He was almost kind of pinning it on his players a wee bit yesterday when he was asked about that, and said that he did make the changes, accused some of his players in being lazy
I thought it was very foolish to use that remark, because it invites people like us in the media to say, if your players are lazy, that's your fault. It reflects badly on you because you're the manager or head coach, whatever you want to be known as. So I thought it was foolish to use that kind of phraseology. It's a big day for him tomorrow because Motherwell booby-trapped Rangers season. And the very first caller after Motherwell had won 3-2, and I listened that you were presenting the programme, the very first caller referred to ndrew as our idiot manager. And right away I thought, he's in trouble.
From one dugout to the other, Fraser Wisher, as it's been mentioned, very, very likely to be Martin O'Neill's final Old Firm game in charge. How much will this match and these final 3 games mean to him as he looks to bow out of management?
Well, I'm sure 12 months ago he wouldn't have thought he'd be in the dugout again, maybe anywhere, never mind at Celtic, and he's come in and he's enjoyed it, and he's been a great front over this period, which has been very rocky for Celtic, and it's just been an amazing season. At the end, we'll sit back and look at what happened to Celtic, what's happened to Rangers, and just still in wonder at how 2 huge clubs like that can have such a collapse, but it's led to such a great title race. But I really like Martin O'Neill as a person. Met him a few times, sat at dinners with him as well. He's got a decency about him. He's a good man, and he knows the position of Celtic manager, and he knows what's part of that is to be a front and to be a very good man. But he's also going to win football games, and he's just found this way of grinding out. I was just quickly looking at Celtic's results over the last couple of months, and they've only won 1 in the last couple of months by more than 1 goal, and quite often it's been a late winner. And they just kept going, and we've all said they can't keep going and win the league, but they are, and here they are. But tomorrow will be tricky. Rangers have got their own incentive, yes, to stop Celtic winning the league, and I'm sure that's high priority for the fans. But they've also got second place to play for. If they beat Celtic, they're 1 point behind them. And second place, of course, is Champions League. Third place looks like it's going to be Europa League. So there's a huge difference for Rangers as well in terms of the finances as well. So I'm sure Andrew Kavanagh is probably reminding ndrew and the players of that very fact and how important a victory is tomorrow. But Martin's been a great person, a great figurehead, a great figure in Scottish football, and I look forward to hearing him at the end of the season.
Everyone likes their predictions, Gordon Dalziel. I think this season, the way it's gone, has made every single person in Scottish football look stupid, because everything has been up in the air every single week. Do you have any idea how this game is going to go tomorrow, or the game tonight, for that matter?
No, absolutely not. You couldn't. Listen, I think if you look through the full card, even this afternoon down the bottom, I've no idea how St Mirren and Kilmarnock are going to go, who's going to finish in 11. It's been such a season. I stuck my neck out at the beginning of the season. I went for Celtic, right? I'm 100% confident. No, I'm not, but I'm still in the race. That's all I can say. That's the only hope I can give myself. I'm still in the race. Come on, Hugh.
Stick your neck out. I know you'd all love me to say, but this is.
You're waiting for the 3 of them.
This is. At least I'll give an opinion.
I've just given it. I've stuck my neck out. I'm still in the race. I went with Celtic at the beginning.
This has been the season of take away the idea you first thought of and deal with the last thing you thought possible. The only thing you can expect tonight and tomorrow is the unexpected. I rest my case. Thank you and good night.
We will get to the unexpected at 8 o'clock tonight and at midday tomorrow, but there are games to be dealt with this afternoon. Huge ones coming up in 20 minutes time. We'll go back around the grounds next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
15 minutes to go until the 3 o'clock games get underway in the Scottish Premiership. Aberdeen against Dundee United, St Mirren against Kilmarnock, Dundee against Livingston, and Falkirk against Hibs. Let's start going back around the grounds to get the final bit of preview. Let's start with that big one at the Smiza Stadium. It is so tight down there between St Mirren and Kilmarnock. David Friel, who for you at the moment is in the driving seat, if either team, to get out of that relegation playoff spot?
You've got to say Kilmarnock, Andrew, I think, just because it looks as if maybe at the top end of the pitch they've got a bit more about them in terms of Joe Hugill, Finlay Curtis, guys like that. I think Aaron Fishbola makes a big difference in midfield as well, but I think both of them are still in real trouble, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, St Mirren have got their injury problems at the moment. Obviously Shamal George is out, Alec Gogic missing, Jonah Ayunga, 3 huge players for them, and I think the kind of general general view is that St Mirren are probably going to be the team that maybe finishes in this relegation playoff, but I still think it's wide open. It's interesting. I've been joined by a couple of our colleagues, Mark Wilson and Alec Ray, who are just sitting watching this game with an eye, and maybe obviously they've got Dunfermline and Partick Thistle in the next round, but they may have to play one of these teams in the final, so they're just doing their research. And I think that says everything, that it's going to probably be one of these two teams. Right now I think Kelly will probably get out of it, but today will tell us a lot.
Yeah.
Can you ask Alec Ray if he'll come here at 6 and give me a run home, will you?
I will do, Hugh.
Yeah, I mean, today's game is going to be so vital in seeing who potentially finishes in that 11th spot. We saw from the quarter-final playoff game last night that it's maybe a step closer to knowing who they could potentially face. It is going to be either Partick Thistle or Dunfermline.
Well, Dunfermline rode their luck and then some in Arbroath. There was a magnificent goal line clearance by Dunfermline in the first half. Then they conceded a penalty second half, and the goalkeepers made a very good save, although he ought not to have been in that position. So through by the skin of their teeth, and they'll be looking forward to the Partick Thistle match. With regard to St Mirren and Kilmarnock, Finlay Curtis. I'll say those two words, Finlay Curtis. Someone who is dreaming of being on the plane carrying the Scotland World Cup squad to the United States. I think he could be the difference. They had a terrific 3-0 win over Dundee United last week. Admittedly, Dundee United subconsciously had packed it in because they had nothing at all to play for. But I think Finlay Curtis, if you get him in your team, you start with a big advantage today.
Whether it is an individual performance, a piece of magic, a mistake, something is going to decide this game, and there are just going to be such fine margins, aren't there?
Yeah, massive pressure on both clubs. You look at when you're down there, you know today is probably certainly a defining moment of where your club ends up if you're going to be in that relegation playoff, and you absolutely don't want to, because you look at the clubs that potentially are going to be in it. Dunfermline, Partick Thistle, two very, very strong teams. So they'll be out for trying to get 3 points today. I think Hugh makes a good point. Listen, Finlay Curtis, since he's came to the club, has been excellent at Kilmarnock. Joe Hugel as well at the top end. Max Strack, I've got to give him a shout out. Back in goals, he kept a clean sheet last week. I think that's a real big boost for Kilmarnock towards the end of the season. So I've got to push towards Kilmarnock and look at them and think they've got enough at the top end of the pitch to go and score goals, and I think they'll get a result today.
Is it quickly written in the stars? St Mirren lose today. What's their next game? Aberdeen. Ex-manager puts them in 11th place. There you go. End of story.
Let's hear from both managers, shall we? Starting with Craig McLeish.
It's massive. We've not tried to kind of play that down with the boys at all. We know the situation we're in. We've spoke about it this week. Big moments in the season and knockout games, cup competitions, semi-finals, finals. Like, we've stepped up. The boys have stepped up. The group have stepped up. That's been the message to them. There's no downplaying it. There's no getting away from it. There's no second chances after this. It's like we have to go and do the business and do what we need to do. And again, at times throughout the season and knockout competitions, we've stepped up, and that we're trying to kind of build it like that. We're in an absolute dogfight. The only thing that matters right now is us coming away with wins and putting points on the board.
The boys know how I feel. I'm so proud of them. They've managed to get themselves into a position where it's completely in their own hands. I think a lot of people doubted that dressing room before I came in here, and I never once did. I can honestly say that they have got themselves now to a situation where not only have they dragged teams towards them, they're actually doing it in a style that I think our fans have completely engaged again with.
What about Falkirk against Hibs, Gabriel? Because, as you mentioned earlier on, I think a few weeks ago, Falkirk fans would have been absolutely delighted at the fact that they secured a top 6 place, but maybe many had settled for the fact that they probably were going to finish in 6th. It's already been an incredible season. It could get even more incredible if they get a win today.
Yeah, Andrew, just as you're saying there, many people would have thought Falkirk would have settled for 6th and would have all eyes on the Scottish Cup final. Then once they got knocked out to Dunfermline, it seemed a bit flat, but all the faces in here around me in the home end really positive, excited, because they feel they can get European football here. All it takes is a win today and they're in control of their own destiny. They'll be a point ahead of Hibs going into those final 2 games. They've got Hearts and Rangers in their final 2, but Rangers might have nothing to play for on that final day here, so they're feeling confident, and what an achievement that would be for John McGlynn and his team. Of course, you've then got, if they finish 5th, they'd be relying on Celtic to beat Dunfermline, which is what Hibs were doing last season, hoping that Celtic would beat Aberdeen. It didn't turn out that way, but for Hibs, it's just completely the alternative. They were pushing for 4th all season long, essentially. Looks like 5th's probably the best they're going to do, and it could even be 6th, which, as the boys were touching on earlier, it would put real pressure on David Gray, because Hibs' budget for 5th, Andrew, and budget for European football, European qualifiers in July and August. So if they were to slip out of that after having it in their hands, it would be such a big blow, especially given the manner of these last few games. 4 red cards in their last 3, and to pile it all on the Leeds side, Hearts very well could win the league.
Yeah, looking forward to that one at the Falkirk Stadium. What about at Dens Park, Fraser Wishart? Because Scott Arfield is going to be in the Livingston dugout for the next 3 games. What does that look like to you? Is that potentially an addition process, or do you feel he's just sort of holding fort for the next week?
I think he's just holding fort. I don't see them taking a gamble with a young man who's still playing, and giving him his first job, because he'll need to get back up next season. I mean, dare I say it, could it be Davy Martindale with the return? See him in the dugout next year? I wouldn't put anything past that. It's a real strange situation with Marvin, and the lads will talk about it earlier. And I think it's quite right. If you're asked to apply for your job, either give me it or don't give me it, because you've seen what I can do. If you don't fancy me, then fine. So it was a strange position for the club to take, but they've got a lot of players under contract. Livingston, they've got a big squad, a lot of players on contract next year. They've bought likes of Bokia and Fatty, Zimmerman, Danso, Brenny was earlier on this season as well. So they went foreign, they've spent money on wages and in transfer fees, and it's just not worked for them. So they're going to have a big summer, because lots of players are still under contract, and a wee bit of work as well for Dundee come the end of the season. I think they'll win today, and that's them safe. But they've kind of relied on likes of Ugani and Congreve, Scott Wright later on, who are all loans. Luke Graham will be sold as well. So again, a bit of turnover, and that's what happens when you bring in quite a few loan players, as they all go back, and you've got to bring in new players as well. So like with all clubs, there'll be a turnover there. But for Livy, it's going to be very difficult for them, because they came back at first attempt when they were relegated a couple of years ago. I'm not sure it's going to be as easy this time.
And finally, Dave Galloway at Pittodrie. You mentioned earlier on about Aberdeen, expecting that there's going to be a big rebuild this summer. What do the final 3 games look like in terms of are players fighting for their future?
Yes, I think that is very much the case. That is what might give us a bit of a spark of something in this game, Andrew. Because I've spoken to a number of Aberdeen fans ahead of kick-off here at Pittodrie. Of course, this fixture used to be called the New Firm Derby, but it's just a pale shadow of its former self now, isn't it? Many supporters' expectations will be of an uninspiring end of season encounter, but hopefully the desire to finish this campaign strongly can add a touch of excitement. This is a fixture that Aberdeen have traditionally done well in against United. They haven't lost to their Tayside rivals in the league here since 2014. Their only defeat in 17 Premiership encounters between these teams. 1 point would make them mathematically safe from the drop, but the Terrors, if they can get a victory, they will secure top of the bottom half status with that win. But a big test of character for them. They were poor last weekend in losing 3-0 at Kilmarnock. Can they bounce back from that? Both sides with an awful lot to prove here this afternoon, so hopefully, like I say, that will give us some form of excitement.
Well, that is the picture from the 3 o'clock kickoffs. We'll get them underway next.
Action as it happens, and your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
4 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Scottish Premiership today. Aberdeen against Dundee United, St Mirren host Kilmarnock, Dundee take on Livingston, and it's Falkirk against Hibs. Then 2 massive games at the top of the table to come after that. At 8 o'clock tonight, it's Motherwell against table toppers Hearts, and then tomorrow midday it's Celtic against Rangers at Celtic Park. A lot of excitement to come, especially in these 3 o'clock kickoffs as well. Let's get them underway, and let's hear how you 3 think they will go.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get set for the season with expert pharmacy support.
Right, prediction time, starting with you, Hugh.
I will go Aberdeen home win against Dundee United, Kilmarnock away win against St Mirren, Dundee home win over Livy, and Falkirk home win against Hibs.
Oh, I'm very, very similar to that, Hugh. I'm going Aberdeen home win today, Kilmarnock away at St Mirren, Dundee home win, and Falkirk home win.
That's not similar, that's identical.
Exactly the same.
I thought you said... Oh, sorry. Yes. I've messed up. Draw for the first one.
Draw for Aberdeen and Dundee
draw.
United.
Yep.
Okay,
I'll go something different then. I'm going to go Dundee United to beat Aberdeen. I'm going to go St Mirren and Kilmarnock a draw. I'm going to go Dundee to beat Livingston, and I'm going to go Hibs to beat Falkirk.
Hibs to beat Falkirk. You've gone a bit different. We'll see how those predictions get on as the afternoon unfolds. St Mirren were taking kick-off. Surely David Friel says that the plan for St Mirren, get the ball forward as quickly as possible, knowing Kilmarnock's record of conceding in the opening 60 seconds of their last 3 away games. It's 30 seconds down, they've not scored yet.
Yes.
Listen, Brighton have scored after 40 seconds, so there you are, at home to Wolves. So my grandchildren are currently jumping up and down in the Amex Stadium.
Good one for the Seagulls. I think that'll probably be about a minute gone at Kilmarnock, which is incredible to say that they've now had a better start today than they've had in their last 3 away games. Interested in, despite Kilmarnock's terrible away records, a couple of you going for Kilmarnock to beat St Mirren?
I just think the loss of Gogic is massive, and also the kind of spirit that Kilmarnock showed in that Dundee United game. Of course there's nothing in it for Dundee United, but they still beat them 3-0, and Finlay Curtis is still running amok. I just think the force is with them.
Yeah, listen, I've got to go for Kelly because I feel as if Kilmarnock will score. They'll score today. The problem has been keeping clean sheets, but we all know that St Mirren can't score. They're really struggling to score, so for me it all points to Kilmarnock getting 3 points today. I think they've got exciting players at the top end of the pitch. As I mentioned before, the goalkeeper, the changing goalkeeping department for Kilmarnock, Max Stryk being back in is a boost. So I can see Kilmarnock sneaking the 3 points.
Stonewall draw. You're only going for Kilmarnock. You're only going for Kilmarnock because you want a couple of gigs, right? Let's not be kidded here.
Free hospitality.
I've worked with punters like you before.
Rumour has it that
you are one of them punters.
Rumour has it you're going to see Motherwell play Hearts tonight.
That's a massive rumour, yes, and that's true. I will be along
Are you there?
Yeah, me and wee Chizzy on the park. He's doing the HERT, I'm doing the MOTHER. So I'll be a good sing-song. He's going for Hearts, I'm going for Motherwell. But what a game that is tonight. But there's plenty of excitement this afternoon.
I think we should do a sweepstake on what minute of the game Gordon Dalziel decides to make the 60-second walk home.
Well, as soon as
you're not going to be there till the end. No chance.
No chance. No chance.
Am I going to be there till the end? Even I will admit there's not a chance I'll be there. In fact, if I
can know the result until tomorrow morning.
If I can see by the 60-minute mark, I
was
will
going to say
be
60.
delighted with
I was
myself.
going to say 60.
By the way, the traffic's bad, mate. You've got to get down the road quickly. You never know crossing that road, especially with the bad hip just now. So I've got to.
You're out of games quicker than Kelechi Iheanacho.
I was going to say, you did bring up your dodgy hip there. I was quite disturbed by some of the stretches you were doing in the office earlier on. I know they're necessary, but
mate, I am under severe pressure. No golf, nothing. I can hardly walk. I'm struggling. Try again out my car. It looks like I might need a new one on the left hand side. The right one being replaced. I think the left one's now about to join.
You get more metal in the bionic man.
I wonder how I done that. You know what I mean? Your two hips going. See the old football injuries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Cammy?
I wasn't going to say football, but
no. Well, we'll call it football as we speak.
Moving on.
Yeah, not too much has happened in the opening few minutes of the games in the Scottish Premiership so far. Just waiting to see if there's any updates coming in from those games. And as I say that, we have one of these.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It's Falkirk 0, Hibernian 1, and it's a Josh Campbell header. It was a Jordan Abita corner. They win the first contact. It goes through the goalkeeper, and Hibs take the lead at the Falkirk Stadium.
Now, they've done this before. Early lead against Hearts through Martin Boyle. We know how that ended. But you'd rather have that goal than not have it. So for David Gray and George Campbell, that's a terrific start.
I fancy Hibs today. I know there's still a lot of football and a long, long way to go. I've just got a wee sneaky Hibs can get back and winning ways.
What Hibs need to do now is keep 11 men on the park, Cammy.
Yeah, listen, the last 3 games that they've played, they've obviously lost more than one player and certainly a one fixture, but it's been a massive Achilles heel for Hibs because they've been in driving positions in the game and they lose that player, which puts them under pressure. I mentioned it before, when you're playing the top side, you can't afford to lose a player in a game. So it's a brilliant start for David Gray, because we spoke about it quite a lot before the game started today. David Gray, it's starting to feel like a little bit of pressure's becoming his way. We mentioned Hearts potentially winning the league, which is going to upset the Hibs fans, but also if they finish 6th, I just feel as if the pressure will mount on them, and you don't want that negative start for next season either.
Of course, some playoff games on the go down the divisions as well. A good start for Stenhousemuir, 1-0 up against Queen of the South. Matthew Aitken with a goal for them as the Seagulls take a 2-0 lead over Wolves in the opening 5 minutes.
Stenny was an interesting one because again during the week, Gary Naismith announced as Ayr United manager, while Stenhousemuir have their big playoff games to try and get promoted into the Championship. So I found that a little bit of strange timing from both clubs to kind of announce it, and they didn't keep it quiet, but they certainly reacted well.
Yeah, quick start means that there was a goal before we managed to do this, Hugh.
The first half teaser with Archiplan Glasgow. Planning permission and building warrant drawings for home extension, conversion or renovation.
Rangers at Celtic Park tomorrow, of course. Youssef Chermiti will be looking to score in back-to-back visits there for Rangers. Can you tell me the last 5 Rangers players to have done this since 2000? Rangers at Parkhead tomorrow. Youssef Chermiti looking to score back-to-back games for Rangers there. Tell me the last 5 Rangers players who've done that since 2000.
Well, if you want to see that written out, go to @ClydeSSB, and that is where you send your answers. Remember, it is a race, fastest wins. There will be a podium that we will announce at the end of the first half, and it is all the answers in one tweet, quickest wins. So head over @ClydeSSB, that's where you can take part, and Gordon Dalziel and Cammy Bell will have a think about that themselves while these first halves go on.
Well, great start for the Hibs. David Gray, as we said earlier on, you'd be looking at a hard time from your employers and your supporters if you finish bottom of the top 6 and miss Europe. So he's clinging on.
And plus the fact, Hugh, it adds a little bit of spice if Hibs had to go on and win that, because they closed the gap in Motherwell.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden Motherwell's looking over their shoulders, and they've got that massive game against Hearts tonight.
Yeah.
1 or 2 crunching tackles in that game between Aberdeen and Dundee United so far, but no chances either between St Mirren and Kilmarnock. There was an early opportunity for Dundee against Livingston. Simon Murray, it was a shot across goal, but it went about a yard wide. So the only goal in the top flight so far is for Hibs away at Falkirk, which would be a big result for Hibs if they managed to get that gap bigger on Falkirk.
They'll be looking behind, and they'll be looking up, because they'll be looking at Motherwell, and a lot of people might fancy Hearts to go there because of the situation, get 3 points. So it would bring them closer, obviously, to Motherwell. But as we say, don't write off Falkirk yet.
Big goal in Paisley.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 1. The O'Macan side have an early lead at the Smiza Stadium. Looks as if it may have been an own goal, that one. Miguel Freckleton's claiming a foul, so I'm sure that will be checked by VAR. But for the moment, Kilmarnock in the driving seat.
Psychological boost for them. Worrying for St Mirren if the goal survives the VAR test. And I just had the feeling that the Kilmarnock were going there in a better frame of mind than St Mirren.
They've been conceding early goals away from home, but scoring one that could be massive.
Yeah, of course it would. Listen, any result today for Kilmarnock would be massive. I think it puts them right in the driving seat. I've said for weeks now, I looked at the situation, Kilmarnock's away record, I sort of swayed towards them, but I was always concerned about St Mirren. And I know that when Craig McLeish went in there, everybody was giving him a pat on the back about, he's freed them up a little bit, they're playing more football, they look a better team. It's all about winning games, and I think St Mirren now are starting to forget how to do that.
There was a VAR check for handball, but it is complete. The goal has been given. It will go down as a Conor McMenamin own goal. 9 minutes into that game.
It's a massive goal for Kilmarnock. Huge boost for them. They've got themselves in front, away from home, and again it just settles all the nerves of that. Only winning one away fixture all season, but what it does, it puts a huge amount of pressure on Craig McLeish, a young manager, an inexperienced manager that St Mirren again decided that he was the man to take them forward in the situation that they were in. Was it the right decision for me? I didn't think so. I mentioned in the likes of Neil Lennon at that time, could they have prized him away from Dunfermline, because it was always going to be a tough job to keep St Mirren away from this playoff position. It's a poor start today.
Yeah, I think there will be question marks over that decision making if St Mirren finish in 11th place and find themselves battling to stay in the division. Then I think St Mirren fans might question maybe why a more experienced manager wasn't brought in at the time of Stephen Robinson leaving. However, they may not finish in 11th, and Craig McLeish might get them out of it.
Keith Lasley would have a lot to say about that particular matter, and he's a very experienced football man, and I'm sure they had the faith in Craig McLeish. Remember, he got off to a positive start, and people were saying, they've done the right thing there. But then along came the cup tie against Celtic, in which they played very, very well at Hampden, but fell apart in extra time. I know that I am 2 weeks younger than Sir David Attenborough, but I can't remember a team winning a major honour and being relegated in the same season. Am I wrong? Can you remember a team winning a major honour and going down?
What I will say, Hugh, is listened to David saying that Alec and Mark are at the game today. I was up visiting them on Thursday I was up seeing them, and you look at that game, Partick Thistle, Dunfermline, whoever wins that, if I was Neil Lennon or Mark Wilson, I would be hoping St Mirren finishing at 11th place. I'd fancy my chances against St Mirren, I really would.
Well, it is Kilmarnock 1, St Mirren 0 in the Scottish Premiership. It's also Hibs 1, Falkirk 0 at Falkirk Stadium. No goals between Aberdeen and Dundee United, no goals between Dundee and Livingston. Do find it interesting that with Scott Arfield in charge for that game, not put himself in the squad at all. Do you think that's just him wanting to focus on the management side of things?
I've been there as a player coach when you get the job at the beginning, and you decide to yourself, right, what's more important. And I think you've got to take yourself out of it, because you see the as much as you rely on your staff, but you see the bigger picture, and then it becomes difficult at half time if you get in there and you want to say a few words and you're playing and you're not having the greatest game as well. So it was a difficult one. I'm a bit surprised he's not in the dugout with his guitar. I would have loved to see that this afternoon.
That'd be some pre-match team talk, wouldn't it?
That would have been brilliant.
So David Brent-esque.
Amazing. I think he does make some good points here. I think
thank you.
You always do. No, listen, I think you see a different game from on the sidelines as you do as a player when you're playing managing. I think Scotty's made it clear that he wants to be a manager in the future. The opportunity's presented itself probably quicker than he expected, so he's going into it in the right manner, that he feels as if he's given us all the best chance to get a good shot at what he's got at this moment of time, whether that's just between now until the end of the season or it goes beyond. Then he's decided that he's taken a step away from it and he's going to actually manage the team rather than being involved as a player. So I think that'll help him, to be honest.
At the end of the day, the outcome of the game is completely inconsequential for Livy. And I also agree 100% with Fraser Wishart, who said earlier on he wouldn't be surprised if Davy Martindale was in charge of Livingston at the start of next season. 100% that will be the case.
Big goal in the Pyramid playoff. Brora Rangers 1, Edinburgh City 0. So Brora Rangers looking to get up to League 2. It would send Edinburgh City down into the Lowland League. Of course, that game is over 2 legs. I was going to make a point on that, but we've got one of these.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
We were just talking about Scott Arfield, and it's not been a good start for him at Dens Park, because it's Dundee 1, Livingston 0, and it's Cameron Congreve. The ball headed into his path by Simon Murray, and it's Cameron Congreve that has put a simple finish in from 6 yards.
How good's he been here? I think he's been excellent. I think he's a player that you would enjoy watching. I think he's exciting. He's got everything about him. I think we all fancied Dundee today, didn't we? Livy, they're gone anyway. Obviously Big Mar's not there. Scotty's come in and ripped up the full plan. Let's be honest, he's ripped the full plan up and decided we go with his own, and so far it's not really worked. But you get back to that with David Martin. I would love to see that interview with David looking in the mirror, having a good talk and saying, right, okay, what would you bring to the dugout? Oh yeah, what much do you want a week? There you go. All right, okay, you've been our prime candidate. I think you're going to get the job. We'll let you know in writing.
I've actually got no idea now who is being credited with that goal in the Kilmarnock St Mirren game, because in the video printer it was initially down as a Conor McMenamin own goal. That's been changed to a Miguel Freckleton own goal. Kilmarnock's own Twitter feed are saying that it was a Joe Hugel goal. I think so. It could be one of a number of players. Just on that Brora Rangers result, or 1-0 up against Edinburgh City in the first leg of the Pyramid playoff, I reckon there are a couple of teams, namely Annan and Stranraer, that are thinking, oh dear, Brora entering League 2, that is what, a 13-hour round trip or something like that?
Yeah, that'll be a bit of a trek. I've been up to Brora myself, and I probably drove it from Annan, to be honest. So yeah, it's a fair jaunt. But again, they've had Elgin, the likes of Elgin, Peterhead in their league recently as well. So it'll be a great story for Brora, because they've been striving for a long time in that Highland League, and they've missed out on a number of occasions at the last hurdle, so it's a brilliant start for them.
Is there a time difference in Brora? Or?
It's a beautiful place. Lovely place.
Not worth the trouble.
Big chance for Hibs to go 2-0 up. Grant Hanley with the header, but that one goes wide. There's quite a lot of Kilmarnock pressure. St Mirren looking pretty ragged, according to David Friel. So if anyone is going to score next in that game, it looks as if it would be Kilmarnock. There's a goal for the Spartans against Clyde. They are 1-0 up. Callum Booth on the score sheet in their playoff game.
Well, the only team having a week that's worse than Livy, poor old Hamilton Accies, who are 3-1 up in aggregate in the League One playoffs, but a winding up order to deal with now. Worrying times.
Yeah, it just seems to be one thing after another for Hamilton at the moment. They definitely don't need a relegation added into all that.
No. You just have to hope that all is well in the end for the people who support the Accies. It's always been one of our wee institutions. Be sad to see them go to the wall.
Would it not be credible that if Hamilton and Clyde played each other in the playoff?
It would be the type of story that would just sum up this season, how mad this season has been. Obviously,
that's
for those that don't know, Clyde playing their home games at Hamilton Stadium this season, Hamilton playing their home games at Clyde's old stadium this season. So they would both have away matches at home and home matches away.
It's incredible.
It would just be an incredible story. Again, it's sad to see the way that Hamilton are in at the moment. Again, Hugh mentions the potential winding up order against them, because it looks as if they might just have enough. Certainly a look at the players. I've got Ollie Shaw, who's been on fire this season, to get out of this and manage to stay in League One, but certainly off the field it looks like they've got a huge amount of problems.
One League One player a year.
Yeah, he's a good player. I was at Hibs with Ollie, and again, exceptional young talent at that point. And
did Leanne Dempster not call him one of the top young talents in Europe when he was there? I remember that.
And he was a very talented player. I just think he lost his way a little bit in the footballing chain, and he's managed to find his feet again. I'm pretty sure there'll be a number of teams looking at him for next season.
An opportunity for Dundee United. It was just beyond the reach of Max Sapsford after the ball in from Ryan Strain, so it is still goalless in that game between Aberdeen and Dundee United. We've had a goal in each of the other 3 games though, so plenty going on, and this weekend hasn't even properly got going. Hugh,
I'll remind you of the first half teaser. In the meantime, Rangers at Celtic tomorrow. Yusuf Chamiti will be trying to score in back-to-back visits there for Rangers. Can you tell me the last 5 Rangers players to have done that since the year 2000?
Just looking at some of the answers coming in on Twitter. Michael Donati has done pretty well. He said Billy Dodds, though.
Dodsey's not there, no.
Yeah, I see a few answers coming in, so get them at Clyde SSB for your chance to get on that podium at the end of the first half. If you want a reminder of the question, maybe it's just easier to see it written down at Clyde SSB. That is where you send your answers. And there is another big one of these in the Scottish Premiership.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It's Aberdeen who have it. Aberdeen 1, Dundee United 0, and it is... I'm getting mixed signals about who the goal scorer is once again, because the information I'm getting from Pittodrie is that it was Kevin Nisbet, but the video printer says it's Stuart Armstrong. We will clear that up. Either way, it was a good run from Olasanya to set the goal up, and Aberdeen have a 1-0 lead against Dundee United.
Dundee United have been a massive disappointment this season. Jim Goodwin can't be pleased. They and Aberdeen both need a real clear out in the summertime.
Yeah, you'd expect Stephen Robinson will be making big changes this summer.
Yeah, I think he will. I don't think he was too pleased with what he's seen when he went into the job at first. He's turned around, he's got 1 or 2 results, and that's a good start.
It was Stuart Armstrong that got that goal, it wasn't Kevin Nisbet. And one of these at the Falkirk Stadium.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It's Falkirk 0, Hibs 2, and it's Josh Campbell again. It was a Martin Boyle ball in from the left. It's another headed goal. It's been a good game so far at the Falkirk Stadium, and Hibs are taking control of it.
Yeah, the boys can rip up their predictions as we speak, and we're only 21 minutes into...
Are you that confident?
Yeah, 2-0.
Okay.
Falkirk will not come back from that.
All right, okay.
I just thought that Hibs had to bounce back. They've got a good squad. Hibs. Falkirk have been absolutely brilliant. Can't take that away from them. I know they had a great result, but they've had Motherwell's ticket all year, haven't they? Every time they play them, Falkirk seem to be the team that know how to play against them. But I thought a little bit of pressure on David Gray and Hibs today. They've responded. 1
Premiership goal all season before today for Josh Campbell, and he's now got another 2 today, so 20 minutes into that game. Josh Campbell with a double. Falkirk 0, Hibs 2.
Where does the results just pop out the sky for teams? The Hibs lost to Hearts. Okay, they had 9 men, but that's their fault. Then they lost to Celtic, having been given what we'll call a fortuitous equalising goal. And in the next game, they start overturning a Falkirk team who've been a credit to themselves all season long.
That's been the problem for Hibs for me. Again, it's inconsistency this season. And David Gray will look back at certain results, obviously recent ones with losing players. Yes, that hampers you. But there's other results this season that have been really poor for them. And he's just never found that real rhythm to put himself challenging where the likes of Motherwell are to try and push towards the top 3. And that's been his problem, but certainly they started the game very well away to Falkirk, which is a tough fixture.
Yeah, it would stretch their lead over Falkirk to 5 points, which would mean Falkirk would have to win their final 2 matches to stand a chance of leapfrogging Hibs at all. It seems very unlikely. Would also move them just 3 points behind Motherwell, and if Hearts went to Fir Park tonight and got a victory, then all of a sudden Hibs' tails are up, and they might think that they could end up getting a real shot at 4th.
Well, before anyone says, the Dazzler said it earlier on, before anyone thinks about Motherwell not being bothered about the outcome against Hearts, they have now been heavily incentivised, because for Motherwell to get nothing out of this season, in which they have been generally accepted to be the best team in the league, then that would be a poor show. But they now know that they have to get at Hearts.
Yeah, Gabriel, who's at that game, he's saying Falkirk are actually playing quite well. They're just a bit hard done by the 2-goal deficit. No real other chances happening between St Mirren and Kilmarnock. It's all a bit frantic, as you'd maybe expect between those two. Pretty quiet atmosphere between Dundee and Livingston. Fraser Wishart says it kind of seems like a bit of a pre-season game feel, just the atmosphere and the actual action on the pitch.
I think when you play at the end of a week in which you have been formally relegated, you're bound to be down, aren't you?
Yeah, you'll be looking forward to your holidays, Hugh,
Yeah.
I think, just getting the season out the road. Well, there's
Yeah.
nothing up with that. I've been the football boots myself in times gone by. But you've maybe still contracts to play for. You're maybe, your new manager sitting in the stand watching. That's probably going to offer you a contract, whatever it may be. So you'll always have something to play for. But I just think Dundee under Elvis will want to finish the season on a high. And I certainly think they'll do that today.
Stenhousemuir 1, Queen of the South 1. Nicky Clark on the score sheet for Queen of the South. He scored a few since moving from Ross County not too long ago, back to the club that he was obviously at earlier on in his career. That was 1-1 in the first leg as well. So Stenhousemuir and Queen of the South completely up in the air who is going to go through in that playoff semi-final.
Good day. Goals aplenty and talking points aplenty. Let's hope it lasts until 10 o'clock tonight. It starts again at 11:45 tomorrow.
It will last tonight. Listen, let me tell you, Fir Park is the place to be tonight. Let's not be kidding. Anybody that's not going along there is going to miss out on fantastic football, drama, excitement, everything. Absolutely everything.
You've been paid to promote this game?
No, I'm just excited for it. You know what I mean? We've got
to.
Did you actually just say that? Do you honestly think I'm going to pay to get in Fir Park?
Is it exciting enough to sit through 90 minutes of it?
No.
Is the question I'll ask you. There we go.
No, I think you're stretching that a bit far. You've always got to get down the road early. The last time I was at Fir Park,
especially when you live across the road.
Yeah, last time I was in Fir Park, I was in my bed and the window was open. I heard somebody scoring. So that's true, by the way. It was Motherwell Rangers game, and Motherwell scored late on.
Roland Adowu has been booked for St Mirren. What a great challenge on Greg Kelty. Greg Kelty ended up off the pitch because of that challenge. A good tackle by Gyamfi of Aberdeen. He dispossesses Zach Sapsford in the box. And Fraser Wishart wants to specifically tell you, Gordon, that it's raining heavily with a lovely cold breeze and it's absolutely freezing at Dens Park.
And at Dundee, is it? Oh, brilliant. That's good. Well, I'll tell you what, it makes up for us having to sit and listen to that torture speech last week. So now he knows how it feels to have a bit of pain.
I do think Fraser's PFA speech was shorter than usual this year. He did reference at the start of it that he does get made fun of on this show for his speech, but I wonder if knowingly it was a bit shorter this year than normal.
Well, okay, he maybe cut 25 minutes off it, but let me say it was still particularly long. No,
still not short enough for you.
Oh my, honestly, he loves the sound of his own voice at that time. You know what I mean? Look at me. He was looking well, he was looking dapper. A great do once again. Food, everything was absolutely brilliant. I enjoyed my night. I really enjoyed my night. One
of my favourite memories from any of the PFA awards is when Mark Wilson turned up one year and he had a sort of grey suede jacket. It's a black tie event, looked as if he was making a bit of a statement, wanting to stand out, and then Fraser Wishart turned up in the exact same jacket.
Well, the Dazzler was on Fashion Watch because he came back to the table and told me he'd met one member of a managerial team who shall remain nameless, who was inappropriately dressed, and the Dazzler was not having it.
No, I'm old fashioned. If it's on
You're a
there,
stickler for the dress code.
I am. If it's on there, if it's on the invitation, I think it's okay to. I don't care about Dickie Bows or whether it's a black tie. It's a black tie event. Respect the situation. I had my tie off within half an hour, so I'm not about
it is. What are the scores? Aberdeen 1-0 up against Dundee United. Still, it's Hibs 2, Falkirk 0. There is plenty of action happening. Kilmarnock still have that 1-0 lead against St Mirren, which could be an absolutely massive one with the way the league table is sitting. Dundee have the lead against Scott Arfield's Livingston. Been a bit quieter in the last few minutes, but I'm sure it will pick up again because it has been an exciting afternoon of action so far. Do you want to give us that teaser again, Hugh?
Yes, Rangers are at Celtic Park tomorrow, of course. Yusuf Chermiti looking to score in back-to-back visits there for Rangers. Can you tell me the last 5 Rangers players to have done that since the year 2000?
Ryan McAteer has gone for a couple of shouts. He has said Danilo
No.
He's also gone for Fashion Sakala.
No.
Right, keep those answers coming in at Clyde SSB. Kevin Nisbet had a chance from a free kick, but it came off the wall and out for a corner. He's been in pretty decent goal scoring form the last few weeks, Kevin Nisbet.
Yeah, but I think he's just a bit short of Steve Clarke's squad, if I'm honest with you. I think he's a decent player. I think he can get you goals. He's finishing the season strongly, which is good for him and Aberdeen, but I do not think he'll be on the plane, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was a period of time where it seemed to be that he and Lawrence Shankland maybe were sort of rotating in and out the squad. It was maybe one or the other. It's not really a contest anymore.
No. Listen, Lawrence Shankland's in a different league as Kevin Nisbet at this moment in time, and that's just the way that their careers have gone. Since Kevin Nisbet joined Aberdeen, I felt as if it was a little bit of a slow start, and that's not maybe just down to Kevin Nisbet. It's where Aberdeen were at the time and what their team's been producing recently. They've had a tough season, whereas you look at Hearts, they've had a very strong season. Shankland's been key to that as well, away from his injury that he missed a few games, but he's certainly on a different league for me, Shankland, and he'll certainly be on that Scotland plane.
Josh Campbell certainly in the mood today, not far away from a hat-trick for him. It was a good chance on the counter-attack, but he wasn't able to put it away. And for Dundee United, Aggie has just been booked for a tackle on Olasanya just outside the box, so it will be another free kick to Aberdeen.
What's happened to Falkirk defensively? 6 goals conceded against Rangers, now another 2 against the Hibs, and by all accounts ought to have been more. What's happened?
Yeah. Listen, they're missing Scott Bain as well today. He's been a big player for them this season. Nicky Hogarth's in goals again, so, and it's nothing against Nicky, but when you've got such a presence of Scott Bain, we've mentioned that he's probably been one of the better goalies within the league this season, certainly for his consistency, so he is a big miss for Falkirk.
I feel sorry for producer John, who's at the game. No, I don't feel that. Sorry for him. He sent me a text message at 7:20 the other morning. 7:20? Who sends somebody a text message at 7:20 in the morning?
Yeah, there's surely a bit of etiquette about what time you should be getting, even a text. Surely just wait until a bit later in the day. What was so urgent at that time in the morning?
Listen, I then came in here at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They were sitting there. I said, could you not have told me this at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? Instead of texting me at 7:20.
Yeah, I got that. I think I probably got that same text. Or certainly I got a text at 23 minutes past 7. I just checked there. So I don't know. Must be getting his business done early doors.
What was the text?
It was about a visitor to the studio today.
Yes, so it was the same text.
Oh, right, okay. Well,
did you not read it?
Probably not. See the minute I see if it's Big John or I just dingy the text.
Balance of play has shifted between Dundee United and Aberdeen. United were edging it before the Aberdeen goal, but Aberdeen looked to be in control now. There was a Roland Adowu cross that almost caused Max Stryjek some problems, and Max Stryjek speaking this week about his heart problems, had open heart surgery in November and was fit enough to be back on the bench for the past few weeks. Is this his 3rd start in a row, I think, for Max Stryjek, and has been an incredible story, the quickness of the recovery.
Fantastic story. You'll remember, Gordon, former Rangers striker Ian Ferguson.
Yes, yeah.
Fergie had that operation, and I met him in Glasgow City Centre by accident, and he explained what actually happens to you during that operation. I won't go into the details, but for Max Stryjek to be back in football at all is a magnificent achievement.
It says so much about his mentality, Cammy, that I think he said that he was back on the bench on, was it the 31st of January after getting open heart surgery in November, and he said he was really disappointed that he wasn't starting that game. He wanted to get back out there as quickly as he possibly could, and he's now got that jersey back. Yeah, he has. He's been very good since he's came back as well. I really liked him when Kilmarnock signed him at the start of the season. I thought he'd be an excellent signing. He's a safe pair of hands, a goalkeeper that's played in Scotland before as well, so understands the league, and then obviously unfortunately had them circumstances with his heart, but just a great story to see him back on the pitch. He spoke during the week, as you said, and mentioned how big the surgery was and what it meant for his life, and he mentioned that it put football into perspective a little bit. I think he's proposed to his
now fiance anyways, recently as well. So it's great to see them good stories when he's back on the pitch, but also playing really well for Kilmarnock as well. And I mentioned it before the game, he is a big influence on the sort of changing they've had defensively. I think he's a top goalkeeper, but also I know he's a big character in the changing room as well.
Yeah, well, he has a clean sheet as it stands in that game between Kilmarnock and St Mirren. Kilmarnock are 1-0 up. Another story from this week, yesterday, Andy Halliday announcing his retirement. 3 games to go for Motherwell at the end of this season. His contract's up. He's deciding that this is the time to call it a day.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, brilliant in Motherwell, and you've got to congratulate them. Fitting that Andy's got his name on the bench, you know, and the dates and everything, where he sat for so long. So, no, listen, there comes a time. He's doing very well in the pundit situation now. I think he sees that as his future. And he's been great. And I'll tell you, it was amazing because I've heard, I wasn't there, at the Motherwell Player of the Year, the manager stood up and raved about him for about 30 minutes. And that's a guy that's hardly featured under the Motherwell manager. So it shows you the professional that Andy is. And he's had a great career, Andy, you've got to say that. And as I say, he'll be into this punditry stuff now, and I'm sure it'll be a big factor in the game.
It was quite emotional last night. He came on Super Scoreboard for 10 minutes and quite emotional, as was Scott Allen, because of course the two of them were brought up together in the same class at school together. But he's got all these coaching badges. I don't think he'll, punditry will be the beginning and the end of it for him. I think he'll want to be involved in football. Yeah,
I think I know Andy as well. We spent a season with him at Rangers. Brilliant guy, and obviously he's fantastic as a pundit as well. So I think he's got a lot to offer, punditry wise. But I really do look at his coaching career now. I see Andy's a very clever guy, understands the game and reads the game really well. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him in a club pretty soon. Yeah, and he can always fall back on his wife if it all goes wrong, because she's quite successful. But yeah, you're right. He's got his own wee coaching school as well. There, I think he does it with his brother and everything. So he's already set everything in motion for his career and it's ahead, away from football. He'll miss the dressing room. There's no doubt about that. Every player will tell you the one thing they do is they miss that dressing room day to day. But there comes a time where you've just got to put the nail there and just stick your boots up and forget all about it and go on with your life.
I hope he doesn't get a club. I won't get a lift home then.
Do you think there's a chance he features in the final 3 games of the season? Don't know how his Achilles is, but maybe get some sort of send-off.
Nah, I don't think that the manager's that kind of man. No. I think when you're looking at that league, and if Hibs win this afternoon, Motherwell have got a very difficult game against Hearts tonight, as we all know. I don't think it'll be a case of, right, Andy, you've been brilliant for us, we'll give you a bit of game time. I don't think that'll come into it at all. And let me say, I don't think Andy Halliday would expect that.
No. Unless you want to bring him on for the last 5 minutes against Celtic and let the Celtic fans have one last chance.
Yeah, just one last chant. He's the only guy that played with Rangers that won Celtic's Player of the Year, and I've got to say, there's nobody else achieved that.
Just looking at that Motherwell game against Hearts tonight, so much focus on Hearts, but if Hibs win today, there's a bit of extra pressure on Motherwell to go out and get something from that game.
Yeah, they would never be without incentive because of Jens Bertel Asker. He didn't get to be Mercedes Jens by not caring what happens, so they were incentivised, but now they are heavily incentivised because they can feel Motherwell Hibs on their shoulders now.
I've just got a feeling that Motherwell tonight will make it very difficult for Hearts. I know that, was it 0-0 the last time at Fir Park? And then obviously Fraser talks about that fantastic game at Tynecastle early on where Motherwell taught Hearts a football lesson. How times change, because at half time, with the report coming in, half the Hearts fans had left the stadium. There's absolutely no chance that's going to happen the next few games. But I've got to say, I just got a sneaky that, I'm not saying that Motherwell got to win it, I don't think Hearts are walking away with 3 points. No, I don't. I honestly don't. I think at Fir Park, the way Motherwell play, and if you look at their overall record throughout the season at home, they do not lose a lot of goals. I think it was David Friel that touched on it and said that Hearts' away record isn't that great, but you've got a lot to play for tonight. Of course they have, the incentives are all there, but I just think Motherwell's got to have a massive say, because Celtic have still to go there, and obviously all eyes in Hearts tonight.
Yeah, Hearts' away record is worse than Celtic's and worse by Rangers, but not by too much, really, but still is not as good as their home record. There's a chance for Dundee. It was Simon Murray with a close range shot, but that was saved by Prior in the Livingston goal, so it stays 1-0 to Dundee in that game, but Dundee looking the more likely to go and get the second goal. I just wonder what that is like for the Livingston players, having been relegated. Will it be tough to find that motivation for the last 3 games of the season when there is a bit of upheaval at the club with their manager leaving?
No, I think, yes, it will be tough if you're sitting there and you know you're still got to be part of the club. But look, if you want to leave the club, you've got to show other people what you're all about. If you want to stay at the club and you want a new contract, you've then got to produce. So as much as a thing of in the back of your mind, look, we're relegated, it doesn't matter what we do, I still think there's a bit to play for.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Who saw this coming? Falkirk 0, Hibs 3. Obita hammers home when the ball came across to him. I think he set up the first, didn't he, Jordan Obita? And he has scored the third. Hibs are running riot at the Falkirk Stadium.
Well, astonishing. We'll quickly say yes, that's even more heavily incentivised Motherwell. But fair play to Hibs. Back-to-back defeats, Hearts, Celtic, and they are flying today.
There's one man that's certainly seen this coming.
Yeah,
the man sitting to my left, Dazzler. But that's an astonishing scoreline so far in this first half. Genuinely, Daz, I'm pretty sure you didn't see 3-0 in the first half away from home coming from Hibs.
No, I seen an early start for Hibs too, but I didn't see 3 until the second half. So I'm not going to take all the credit for it, but it puts a little bit of pressure on looking up now at Motherwell tonight.
Ryan Christie's been sent off for Bournemouth 41 minutes into their game for serious foul play.
Not like him. We'll see that later on, but
what about another Scot down south this week? John McGinn.
Oh yeah,
Aston Villa into the Europa League final. What about those 2 strikes from John McGinn?
He's just having a golden season. He'll be looking forward to America, but he's got an awful lot to achieve before then. He's just an all-round success story.
Who did they get in the final?
They are playing Freiburg.
Yeah, listen, John McGinn's been phenomenal, especially since he's came back from his injury. I think he's just went to the next level. You were almost a little bit concerned when he got that operation. How's he going to react? How's he going to come back? For me, he's came back even better. He's having a brilliant time of it. Aston Villa, he's a true leader. He's a fantastic player. For me, when Aston Villa play and John McGinn doesn't play, there's a huge difference in the team. I think he makes the whole club tick, the way that he goes about his business, and he's a top player. So listen, you just look at the success he's had down there, his time. He's nearly been down there for he must be touching 10 years now, coming up for it, and he's been absolutely phenomenal for Aston Villa.
Yeah, 2018 he joined Villa from Hibs. I mean, an incredible bargain that they got, and I mean, he's a hero anyway. If he can win a European trophy and lift that, it would just take him to the next level, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then who knows what he can do in the United States for Scotland.
Certainly good news for Scotland, the form that he's in.
Absolutely. You want everyone, Lewis Ferguson, McTominay, Billy Gilmour, you want them all to be successful and carry on into the World Cup. So he's the top banky, John McGinn.
St Mirren starting to come into things. They've had a couple of chances. One from Mark O'Hara was a big save from Max Stryjek, and Alan Campbell has had a shot blocked as well. So St Mirren looking a lot better as they approach half time. And since we are about to approach half time, should we wrap this up, Hugh?
The first half teaser with Archiplan Glasgow. Planning permission and building warrant drawings for home extension, conversion or renovation.
Youssef Chermiti trying to score back-to-back goals against Celtic for Rangers tomorrow. The last 5 players to have done that since the year 2000, James Tavernier in a 3-2 defeat in April 2023 and a 2-1 defeat in December of that year. Ryan Kent in a 2-1 defeat in March of 2019 and a 2-1 victory in December of that year. Kenny Miller in a 2-1 defeat in May 2010 and a 3-1 victory in October of the same year. Daniel Kuzan, 3-2 defeat in April 2008 and a 4-2 victory in August 2008. And Peter Lovenkrands, 2-1 defeat in November 2001 and a 1-1 draw in April of 2002.
Well done to Jamie Murdoch, who was third quickest. It was Michael Donati just ahead of him, but the winner is Taylor Muir, who got all those answers in the quickest. So Taylor Muir, top of the podium for the first half teaser, and we will get a Who Am I ready for the second half, so stay tuned for that to see if you can get yourself on the podium. Are we going to have any late drama in the first halves?
Well, it's dramatic enough for Falkirk. They're 3 down. Bit of drama at Airdrie as well. They're 1 down to Alloa. I think that's 2-0 in aggregate.
Yeah, they're in trouble. They're in trouble, Airdrie.
Yeah, it would guarantee that Airdrie go down if they don't come back and beat Alloa. There are 2 minutes added in Paisley between St Mirren and Kilmarnock, as we mentioned. St Mirren getting a bit back into things after a good strong start for Kilmarnock, but Kilmarnock still have the lead in that game. There is an equaliser for Edinburgh City against Brora Rangers. That is the first leg of that Pyramid playoff game. So they have an equaliser, and of course the second leg will be back in Edinburgh.
Who scored it?
It is Divine Esserheiner.
I knew he was avoiding that one. I could see his face.
Yeah, that was pretty obvious that I was trying my best not to say his name, but there we go. 2 minutes added between Aberdeen and Dundee United as well, and I'm sure we will get our first half time in no time. 3 minutes added between Falkirk and Hibs. That will be bitterly disappointing, that first half for John McGlynn and his players. I don't think they have played too badly, but
you don't
to be 3-0 down.
Yeah, you don't want it to go 4-5. You know, it begins to be embarrassing for you. Terrific for Hibs, but it's embarrassing. John McGlynn has based his season on efficiency, back and front, and now we'll get
the thing about it, Hugh, is I do the show with Big Brian and I always talk to him for a cup of tea before we go on, and I'll guarantee you, as much as they've had a brilliant season, I wouldn't like to be in that dressing room. No. I really wouldn't like to be in there.
We have our first half time. It's at Dens Park. Fraser Wishart.
It is at Dundee 1, Livingston 0. I think the fact that there's no stoppage time here maybe tells its own story. A very passive game, not been great to watch. Quiet atmosphere, not much happening on the pitch, but Dundee are halfway to safety. A goal by Cameron Congreve early on is the difference. The game actually started fairly brightly. Dundee on top, but Livingston passed the ball around nicely. 4 minutes, half chance for Dundee. Simon Murray got in behind Danny Wilson in the inside right position. Good shot across the face of goal, but a yard wide at the far post. Livingston started to play some nice football. Pittman put Tate through on goal, 1-1. The midfielder struck his low shot from 18 yards well. Really good save by O'Hara to tip the ball wide low to his left. At 14 minutes came the opener from Dundee. Ugani just chipped the ball into the box. Simon Murray backing in to Danny Wilson, managed to head the ball down to the path of Cameron Congreve. Really good touch just to give him that yard, and he just passed the ball into the back of the net from 6 yards. But after that decent start, not much happened. The goal just seemed to hit the tempo. It dropped, everything a bit safe. It took till 35 minutes before we'd even an effort at goal. Livy couldn't clear a Danda corner. Ball fell to Simon Murray. Low shot from 8 yards. Saved well by Prior, low down to his right hand side. Then right back, Brad Halliday almost caught out the goalkeeper with a low cross. He hit it slightly, and Prior saved at his near post. Livy, as I said, passed the ball around nicely, but not really getting anywhere. Their only half chance came just before the break when Newbley fired over. Just a half chance because the ball was behind him, and if he'd scored it would have been a brilliant finish. 43 minutes, Murray then had his head in his hands. It was a good chance. The ball flew nicely into his path, 12 yards out, but he rifled the ball way over the bar. It'd be nice to have a bit more action to warm us up. It's a bit chilly up here, but Dundee are cruising towards safety. Half time, Dundee 1, Livingston 0.
It's also half time in Paisley. David Friel.
Half time, Andrew, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 1. Breathless stuff, so frantic, a very competitive game. It's not been high in quality from the St Mirren side. It's advantage Kilmarnock so far. Miguel Freckleton's own goal has given them the lead. I think they have deserved it. Neil McCann's side have been bright. They've posed a far bigger threat, certainly until the last maybe 5 minutes of the half, when St Mirren did have a good chance to level through Mark O'Hara, but they will really need to up their game in the second half to get anything out of this. Kelly get through the first 60 seconds without conceding a goal for the first time in 4 away games. They would have taken heart from ending that incredible stat. And without being brilliant, they found their rhythm pretty quickly. They took lead in 9 minutes. Tom Lowry, he's been really good. He did well on the left wing. Floated cross, caused all sorts of problems in St Mirren defence. Freckleton was under pressure from Joe Hugo. He diverted the ball past his own keeper Ross Sinclair. Conor McMenamin tried to stop it from crossing the line. I don't think he succeeded, and the ball just ended up in the net. There was some debate, but it has gone down officially as a Freckleton own goal. McMenamin limped off soon after. It wasn't a great day for him, and St Mirren have been really ragged for the bulk of the first half. Kelly had the upper hand without creating a lot of chances. Finlay Curtis was good, Lowry, as I said, was good, Nicky Klishenko, Greg Kiltie, they've all been really bright and full of purpose. St Mirren by comparison offered really little, but then Mark O'Hara had a golden chance to level just before half time. Scott Tanzler's cross was perfect, found him at the back post. He looked certain to score with a volley, but Max Stryek pulled off a huge save. That was certainly better from St Mirren, but Craig McLeish still has a huge half-time team talk ahead of him. Half-time, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 1.
Dave Galloway has the half-time picture at Pittodrie.
Yes, Aberdeen 1, Dundee United 0. A really hard-fought clash. Not hugely entertaining, but better than I feared it might have been before the game. Aberdeen carved out the first chance when a ball through the middle found Olasanya, who raced in on goal, but he was pressurised by a defender and he couldn't beat Richards. Dundee United were edging things though, and a punt upfield was taken on well by Strain. He fired the ball across goal, but Sapsford just couldn't arrive in time to make any sort of connection. The home team, a bit against the run of play to be honest, went ahead on 19 minutes. Impressive work by Olasanya, and he set up Armstrong to finish calmly into the bottom corner. United tried to hit back. Sapsford took up really good position in the box for United, but just as he was ready to threaten and maybe fire the ball into the goal mouth, up popped Gyamfi with a brilliant tackle in the box. It was one of these ones you had to get it right or it was a penalty, and Aberdeen cleared the lines. The balance though was tipping in favour of the Dons. Aguier was booked for a tackle on Olasanya a couple of yards outside the box, and Nisbet's free kick, it came off the wall and behind for a corner. Not too bad a match, quite tricky conditions, a very cold blustery wind coming in off the North Sea, but in front of a crowd of over 18,000. It's Aberdeen 1, Dundee United 0.
And it's also half-time between Falkirk and Hibs at the Falkirk Stadium. Gabriel Antoniazzi.
Yep, Falkirk 0, Hibs 3. Josh Campbell double and a thunderous strike from Jordan Abita's David Gray side in command here. Shows what they can do with 11 men, Andrew. Falkirk have been good going forward, but brutal at the back. Really disappointing showing on a big day for the Bairns. Campbell's first came after just 3 minutes. An in-swing corner from Abita headed home through the Falkirk keeper. Then saw 15 minutes of domination for John McGlynn's side. A few great balls in from the right from Kyrell Wilson and Philip Lisa, but there were no takers despite Barney Stewart sniffing about. Campbell got his second with a great ball in from the left from Martin Boyle, the Hibs skipper. Another well-timed run and another header. And Campbell nearly got his hat-trick a few moments later on the break. A ball in by Owen Eldon, but it went past the post. Obita saw a deflected shot, nearly found the back of the net as well, but it was well saved by Hogarth. He did score, however, 5 minutes before the break with a great strike from the left. I mean, Falkirk have had plenty of the ball. Hibs just happy to counter here. They're in total control, even if they've not got possession. And as it stands, Hibs will move 5 points clear of Falkirk and have a firm grip on the position and on course for European football. But the hosts of it all to do really, really poor defensively. At this rate, their season will be essentially over. Half-time, it's Falkirk 0, Hibs 3.
We'll bring you the full half-time scores next.
Lots of men out there want to feel more confident in the bedroom. In fact, 1 in 5 men have issues as they get older. That's why MedExpress is here to provide support in minutes through a free online consultation. By completing the short online consultation, they'll suggest the right treatment for your concerns, all from the comfort of your home. And you know you're in the right place. They've been one of the country's leading online pharmacies since 2013 with over 1.5 million customers. Their UK-based clinical team will support you every step of the way and send your medication straight to your door. And the best bit is the whole process is online, so you don't even have to visit your GP. So no more planning or pressure, just confidence when you need it most. Visit medexpress.co.uk to check your eligibility and get 30% off with the code SuperScoreboard. That's SuperScoreboard, all one word, when you check out at medexpress.co.uk.
Ever wondered if the magic was real? Well, this is where it was made. The wonder of the Hogwarts Express. The chill of the Forbidden Forest. The secrets hidden in Gringotts Bank. You don't watch the films here. You feel them. Every spell, every creature, every detail. Immerse yourself in the filmmaking magic at Warner Brothers Studio Tour London. The making of Harry Potter. Tickets must be booked in advance. wbstudiotour.co.uk.
This season, I want to feel it from the start, from the whistle, from the first touch. Want to beat the odds, want to take an early lead, want to see why he costs so much money, want to shout pen before the ref is even called in, want to see the call go our way for once. I want to hear their lot go quiet, want to see them leave early, want to drop into the group chat to tell them I've seen the future, want to hear them agree, and if not I'll say, want to bet? Bet Fred. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Grab the unrivaled Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra with an incredible privacy display on EE, the UK's best network. You can save £20 per month, plus claim a Samsung Galaxy Tab S10 Lite. Now we're talking. So get yours today. Offer ends 28th of May.
Saving on minimum 24-month 125GB airtime plan. Eligibility, credit check and terms apply. Credit by EE Limited. Claim from Samsung within 30 days of purchase. Verify best network at ee.co.uk/claims.
What? You didn't know you could get club card prices on Tesco travel insurance? Get away. Save 15% on your travel insurance in our summer sale and join over 1 million customers who've already trusted us with their cover. Buy direct using your club card to get 15% off, but only until the 8th of July. Don't miss our summer sale. Search Tesco Travel Insurance and get a quote direct today. Underwritten by AWP P&C SA. Offer excludes add-ons. T's and C's apply.
Fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half-time scores in the Scottish Premiership. It's Aberdeen 1, Dundee United 0, Dundee 1, Livingston 0, Falkirk 0, Hibernian 3, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 1. In the Championship League 1 playoffs, it's Airdrieonians 0, Alloa 1, Stenhousemuir 1, Queen of the South 1. In the Championship League 1 playoffs, it's Hamilton 0, Forfar 0, Spartans 1, Clyde 0. And in that pyramid playoff between Brora Rangers and Edinburgh City, it's Brora Rangers 1, Edinburgh City 1. Into the English Premier League, there was an early game down there. Liverpool 1, Chelsea 1, and the half-time scores in the 3 o'clock kickoffs: Brighton 2, Wolves 0, Fulham 0, Bournemouth 0, and Sunderland 0, Manchester United 0. We will get the second halves underway after these.
Scottish football's league leader. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Second half's just about to get underway across the Scottish Premiership and elsewhere. There is going to be one change for Kilmarnock. David Watson is coming on for Klishenko. I think we can actually go back to David Friel. David, I think you were saying it's not been a classic game, but it's certainly a big lead that Kilmarnock have in terms of what it means for the league table.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they have had the upper hand on the balance of play and everything, Andrew. I think Jake Young and Jayden Richardson are also going to come on for St Mirren. I'm not sure who's going off yet, but it's understandable that Craig McLeish is going to make some changes here, but St Mirren need to be so much better. As for Kelly, you know, there was a little warning sign when that marker had a chance, but I think Neil McCann will feel the game is there for them, and what a huge 3 points it would be. We're just about to get underway again here.
Yeah, it would be a massive 3 points for Kilmarnock. Craig McLeish making those changes as well, trying to get St Mirren back into that game, and we are just getting all the matches underway.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get set for the season with expert pharmacy support.
How are all your predictions looking so far?
I'm doing alright.
Aberdeen I had for a home win, so they're going well. Curry for a away win, going well. Dundee for a home win, going well. Falkirk finished already. I had that for a home win.
I'm doing okay. I've taken Hibs. It's in the bank.
What was the other ones you took?
I took Dundee.
Okay.
I took draw, and it's still in the balance.
Yeah, no, it is.
And Aberdeen, Dundee United. We'll just leave that one.
Okay.
I took Dundee United.
Wow, what about this for a start to the half?
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Craig McLeish made the changes for St Mirren, but they've not had the desired impact because it's St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 2, and it's Finlay Curtis with a really nice finish into the bottom corner. Finlay Curtis with another goal for Kilmarnock, a big contribution, and Kilmarnock looking good to get 3 points in Paisley.
It wasn't a hard call to make, but I did tell you earlier on Finlay Curtis would be the one to watch. 2 down. I don't see St Mirren getting anything out of their afternoon.
Yeah, massive goal for Kilmarnock, that, especially after the half-time team talks. I'm pretty sure Neil McCann would have been saying to his team, look, just keep it tight, make sure you don't concede, but they go up that end of the pitch, get that second goal, and it's a long way back for a St Mirren team that don't score goals.
It's written in the stars, isn't it? Next week, Stephen Robinson up at Aberdeen, ex-manager, the guy that won them the cup, is going to put them into 11th place in the playoffs.
And now what will happen is the question marks over the appointment of Craig McLeish. And yes, he had a brilliant start to it, but there was a long way to go. There was still a huge amount of a period of the season for me, and an important part for St Mirren when they announced him as to be the interim manager to the end of the season. Somebody so inexperienced, so young in the game. So yeah, there'll be question marks over was that the right decision, because ultimately St Mirren could end up find us all in the Championship next season.
Finlay Curtis it is with the goal. I think it was Neil McCann joking last week that he only shows up when Steve Clark's in attendance. Not sure Steve Clark is there today, but certainly not doing himself any harm in trying to keep his place in that Scotland squad.
Inevitably, someone is going to call this programme either today or tomorrow or some point next week and say, why did Rangers let Finlay Curtis go?
They should have never let him go. For me, I always thought he was a real impact player when he came on for Rangers, and I seen him come off the bench a number of times and had an impact on the game. He for me offered enough to keep him at the club. But listen, the manager made that decision for young Finlay Curtis. It's been the best thing for him to go and get games at this level, and he's shown he can do it.
I do agree with you, but I've got to say it's a brilliant move from the young one. To go out there, we're now talking about this young boy maybe getting a great opportunity to go to the World Cup. Now, if he'd have stayed at Rangers, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Let's be honest about it.
Right, let's get this underway. Hugh, delayed because of another early goal in the half.
The second half teaser with Archiplan Glasgow. Planning permission and building warrant drawings for home extension, conversion or renovation.
Over the course of my career, I have played for 6 different clubs back to back as a lone player. I've won the FA Trophy and the Scottish Championship, and I've been managed by Mickey Mellon and Owen Coyle, and played with Graham Dorrans and Paul McGowan. Lot to absorb there. Played for 6 different clubs back to back as a lone player, won the FA Trophy and the Scottish Championship, managed by Mickey Mellon and Owen Coyle, teammate of Graham Dorrans and Paul McGowan. Who am I?
Yes, you can see all that information written down at Clyde SSB on Twitter. That is where you need to send your answer. The second half teaser, always a simple concept. One name, one tweet, fastest wins. I think it could be a bit of a tough one.
I think so.
A lot of information
there
to
is a lot in that.
And a Saturday at 7 minutes past 4.
Busting your brain.
It's burst. when you could have half that, they're still bursting my brain.
When you've got a bad hip.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll get there in the end. Don't worry about that. We always do.
And you go to Motherwell tonight in the rain. I mean, difficult.
It's sunshine. I've got a washing out.
Oh.
Dry as a bone.
Phillips with a close range effort. It was a flick he has been denied. Caden Phillips, that is, of St Mirren. So they are trying to get back into the game as they were trying to do in the first half, but have conceded early in the second half, 2-0 down to Kilmarnock. A couple of chances for Toyosi Olisanya and Aberdeen. He headed wide from a few yards out from a Jack Milne cross. He then had another shot there, just charged down.
Well, it's all over for St Mirren.
Well, they need the next goal, Hugh. Forget the next goal.
And they need it soon, though. They need to
Killian Phillips has just put one wide after Young couldn't connect with the ball, so they're certainly trying, St Mirren.
They're the lowest goal scorers in the Premiership, so they're not finding 3 goals out of somewhere.
No, they would take 2.
I know, but they're not finding 2 either.
I think 2. If they got a point out of this, it'd be a really good day for them. I agree with you. I don't think they'll find 3, but if they go on and lose it, there's 11th place written all over St Mirren.
I think the problem is as well, the more expansive they get, the further they push players forward. You've got your likes of Finlay Curtis, you've got Hugel up front, who can punish and get goals for Kilmarnock, so they've got to be wary at the back as well.
Yeah, I mean, it is so evident when you say they are the lowest scorers in the division. 27 goals this season, which is 12 fewer than Livingston.
Wow. Yeah. But Kilmarnock have the chance to maybe go 3 ahead and back-to-back 3-0 wins. That's you guaranteeing your survival in style.
Yeah, I think there maybe were some question marks over the appointment of Neil McCann when he first went in at Kilmarnock. Results have been mixed, but certainly if he manages to steer them clear of relegation, he'll then have a summer and a pre-season under his belt going into next season. I imagine there would be a good bit of positivity around Kilmarnock.
Absolutely. Again, you say results are mixed. I think it's mixed between home and away, and that's been the problem, is away form all season. 1 win all season away from home. They've had a number of draws, but certainly at home they've been decent, and Neil McCann's got a good few wins. I remember the Aberdeen one, the Dundee United one recently as well. Obviously they beat Hearts at home, so they've had good results at Rugby Park. It's been their away form. I think it's been a really good appointment over the piece that you bring in real experience in Neil McCann and Billy Dodds. I felt as if they were giving themselves the best opportunity at staying in this league, and that's why I question the appointment of Craig McLeish at St Mirren, an inexperienced manager in such a high pressure environment. Again, it probably shows where they are at this moment in time.
You know, if St Mirren do end up in the playoff final, it's either against Neil Lennon or our own Mark Wilson with the vastly experienced Alec Ray beside him. You know, so he's up against it.
Yeah, no, he isn't, and there's no getting away from it. Mark's he's not an experienced manager, but he's certainly got a number of games under his belt. He's had a fantastic season so far, and you're right to mention that he's got Alec Ray at the side of him, who's got a huge amount of experience, and we don't need to go down Neil Lennon's route. We know how much experience he's got, so.
And remember, Partick went there in the cup and were very unlucky with that dubious penalty kick that should never have been awarded. And take that on top of the fact it's a 2-game playoff. Partick at home this season have been excellent. They've been brilliant. So that's why I was saying, if I was sitting there and I was looking, who do I want, Kilmarnock or St Mirren? I'm taking St Mirren all day long.
And then whoever does go through out of Partick Thistle and Dunfermline, they'll be feeling good about things. They'll have that momentum, having come through that tie. You're then up against a team in 11th place who have been struggling, have that dejection of not being able to get out the relegation playoff. You wonder if that plays any part mentally.
A massive part for me. Again, if you've just won that playoff game to get into the final to play St Mirren or Kilmarnock, whoever it be, you've got momentum, as you mentioned there. But the problem for St Mirren is they can't score goals, and that is a huge issue. If they can't score goals, and they're not going to win football matches. And you look at Dunfermline and Partick, for me, they're teams that have got real threats at the top end of the pitch. The score goals are excellent as well. So, yeah, I would fear for St Mirren if they end up in that playoff position.
Drama at Airdrie.
Yeah, Airdrie are fighting to try and keep their championship status. They were 1-0 down to Alloa from the first leg. They are 1-0 down in the second leg, but have equalised. Robert Mann on the score sheet. But they do need another goal to force that to extra time, because if they don't, then the way that the playoff system works between the Championship and League One is the same in the division below as well, is that Airdrie would just be down. It would be as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of time for belated drama. You know, the goal from Robert Mahon came in the 56th minute, so plenty of time.
Dundee United have had the ball in the back of the net, but it's been disallowed. Not sure whether there's going to be a VAR check on that. Just need to see what the circumstances surrounding that were, but that one not counting as it stands. Aberdeen still have the lead. Again, for old timers like me, Aberdeen Dundee United used to be one of the top fixtures in Scottish football. Both League Championship winners. Jim Maclean for Dundee United, Sir Alex for Aberdeen. It's sad to see them the way they are. A half chance for Livingston, which is probably as good as we've said about Livingston so far today. They've been a bit better in the second half. It was a Joel Newbley header on top of the net. There is going to be a VAR check for that Dundee United goal. It was offside that was originally given. It was Zach Sapsford that knocked home a cross, so that one is being checked by VAR and could potentially count. Well, nobody likes VAR. Well, it's not counting. No goal. There you are. So it remains Aberdeen in the lead at Pittodrie in that game.
But it's been a disappointing season for Dundee United. Hugely disappointing season for Jim Goodwin. And what it does for me is it mounts pressure on him for the start of next season. He needs to have a good summer, a good transfer window, get a few new bodies in, freshen the place up. But he'll need to start the season well, because the Dundee United fans up there are really demanding, and it has been a poor season.
One story that I was enjoying over the past couple of days was in the English Championship playoffs between Middlesbrough and Southampton. Southampton being accused of spying on Middlesbrough, training one of their coaches apparently down there watching things. Maybe that happened a few years ago. Was it Lampard, in the playoffs as well? It was Bielsa and Lampard.
Was it Derby and...
Yeah, it was Derby and Leeds.
I feel a bit let down, really, because that's about the only type of story we've not had.
We've not had a spying story.
No, we've had they'll lie down and they will definitely lie down and he'll lie down and he. But we haven't had a spying story.
Was there any of that back in your day, playing or managing, that you heard of, came across?
I'll not name the manager, but I remember that I had a big important game coming up, and I knew that he was trying everything to find out who my team was, right, and what my formation and everything. So being the person I am, I phoned him and told him my team, my formation.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I phoned him up and he was killing the shell over the phone. He says to me, that's actually a team, the formation you're going to play. I says 100%, I promise you, that's my team, that's my formation.
Did you play it?
They beat us 5-0. No, I played the exact team. I played the formation because in my mind I had better players, and I knew that if we played, didn't matter what he done, we'd beat them, and we ended up beating them. That's it. True as I'm sitting here. There you go. And I'll tell you what, Dick Advocat was raging.
Max Waters has had an angled drive over the bar for Dundee United, so they look as if they are hitting their stride a little bit. Dundee United haven't got the goal, did have the ball in the back of the net, but maybe it's only a matter of time until they get their equaliser at Pittodrie.
Well, Dave Galloway sounded as if he was dreading the match before it began, but it's getting a bit lively for him now.
A goal down in the English Premiership. Fulham 0, Bournemouth 1, Ryan with the goal. I saw there's been 2 red cards in the first half of that game. Hibs are doing well to keep their 11 on the pitch. Is it 4 red cards in the last month they've had?
And all easily justified. You know, it wasn't a contentious decision among them.
It's got to be such a frustration for a manager when it is these things that are just completely out your control that end up changing the whole course of games.
It's absolutely frustrating as a manager, and you feel that, I know that they don't mean it, but you feel that the players have let you down a little bit, and especially when you're under a little bit of pressure as well, and so all of a sudden someone gets sent off and puts you under the cosh. But they've bounced back today. I just think they're one of those teams that they're unpredictable. They've got good players, they've got a good squad, and they're capable of going and winning games, and obviously they're achieving that this afternoon against a difficult Falkirk at Falkirk.
Yeah, they were nearly through, Hibs on the counter, but it was a poor pass from Martin Boyle that lets them down in the end. One of those really frustrating ones that the fans are all sort of off their feet and they're thinking something's going to happen, and then there's just a slack pass in there that completely kills the momentum.
Yeah, and you mentioned Martin Boyle obviously leaving the club at the end of the season, which has been announced, and there's rumours. I've seen rumours of him potentially going to Aberdeen. There's a number of teams that'll be looking at him, because he's certainly still a top player for me and can do it at the top level. He's been a brilliant servant for Hibs and a really good signing since he came. I think it was part of a swap deal from Dundee at one point, which is many moons ago now. But yeah, a brilliant player for Hibs.
None of that old baloney about I couldn't play against Hibs.
No.
He it would be disappointing for Hibs fans probably to see him go to another Premiership team.
Yeah, but again, it all just depends on where he is within his life and his family life as well, whether he wants to stay in Scotland. I'm pretty sure he'll have suitors out of Scotland as well. But listen, he's still a very, very influential player. It'll be hard for Hibs to lose him, and they'll need to try and replace him as well, because he's still playing a lot of football for Hibs. So it'll be interesting to see what his decision is in the summer.
You forget he had that 6-month spell in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
remember that a few years ago? Went to Saudi Arabia for 6 months, came back to Hibs.
Yeah, it took him 4 months to get his money back over carrying it. I think we'd all like a wee 6 months in Saudi Arabia and our playing careers, but unfortunately we didn't do that. But no, I agree with the boys. I think he's been absolutely brilliant for Hibs. Good player, still got a lot of mileage still in him. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Is Saudi Arabia near that place you called the United States of Arab?
Yeah.
Is it near there?
Yeah, that's all right, Hugh. I had one mistake. 15 years, one mistake.
Couple of changes for Falkirk. Probably no surprise that John McGlynn is trying to change things up. Parkinson and Brogio are on. Yates and Wilson come off. There is a goal for Hamilton against Forfar. Ollie Shaw, as we were talking about earlier on, was the League One Player of the Year, and he has got the goal that's put Hamilton 1-0 up on the day. So Hamilton will look good for getting through to the playoff final. Division
4-1 on aggregate. They're home and hosed.
Yeah, very comfortable. And again, we mentioned him, Ollie Shaw, fantastic season he's having. It looks like he's going to be influential for Hamilton staying in League One.
Dundee United on top at Pittodrie, not able to get that goal yet. There's been a change for Livingston. Scott Arfield has brought Joel Newbley off and put Robbie Muirhead on.
Well, you could do anything likes, it won't work.
That's it, you feel they're not getting anything out of this game?
There's still an opportunity, Shug, surely 1-0.
Nah.
Get the guitar out.
Yeah, a wee sing song.
Write some songs with Callum Beattie while he's sitting there.
Did you ever have any managers that did any sort of strange motivating tactics? I remember seeing that, was it the Arsenal documentary, and Mikel Arteta had a few interesting ones, didn't he? He brought out some light bulb and talked about energy and strange things like that.
No, again, I've mentioned before the team bonding one with Partick Thistle and Gary Caldwell with regards to going up the hills with the army and getting kidnapped and all that carry on, and we've done another one, a few things with Gary Caldwell where I mentioned Solly. Then there was another one again, it was we were linked in arms before we went out to training. You had to work your way out of it. I don't know, I just let go and walked out. That was it. So, yeah,
I've not tried any of that when you were a manager.
Team bonding,
just the pub.
Yeah, well, the days were older days. You didn't have a lot of go-karting tracks round about you at that time. I've got to admit, our paintball shooting each. No. Basically, sometimes I would just get the lads down and I would just go out for a wee afternoon.
Love it.
Yeah, last man standing game.
I'd like you as a manager.
I'll tell you what, it was a nightmare on a Friday when you had a game on a Saturday.
Please drink responsibly.
Yeah,
Hugh, do you want to check back in on that teaser, see how we're getting on?
Okay. I have played for 6 different clubs back to back as a loan player. I have won the FA Trophy and the Scottish Championship. I have been managed by Mickey Mellon and Owen Coyle. And I have played with Graham Dorrans and Paul McGowan. Who am I?
You know, it's a tough one when you're looking at the answers coming in and almost every single answer is different.
Yeah.
There are a couple of shouts for Tony Watt.
Nope.
Gio Thompson Art has gone for Alan Gow.
The Gowser. No, not there.
Scott Clark says Scott Allen.
No.
Jason Hampson says Glenn Middleton.
No.
Greg's Gardens has gone for Lawrence Shankland.
Nope.
Niall Moore says Declan Gallagher.
No.
Has Andy got it right?
I don't think so. I think
that's a difficult one.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. A few other answers coming in. Craig Meikle says Graham Stack.
No.
Andy King says Fraser Fivey.
Goodness.
Cameron Whitshead has gone for Charlie Adam.
No.
So yeah, keep those answers coming in. In fact, I think I've seen the first correct answer come in. So someone has done well on that one. But to keep those answers coming in, there will still be spots on the podium, and you can see it written out in full at Clyde SSB.
Quite a career when you think about it, when you read it out like that. 6 clubs back to back on loan.
There has been an effort over the bar for Kilmarnock. Aaron Tishbola, who of course returned for his, I think, 3rd spell, is it, at Kilmarnock?
He's a good player.
Volley over the bar from Aaron Tishbola. I was surprised at the fact I think he's only 31. I think when he came back, I thought that he would, I don't know, I just assumed he would be older than that. Must have been quite young in his first spell at Kilmarnock. But he came straight from he came straight from Aston Villa. Was that right?
Yeah, it was.
So he would have basically kind of come out of their academy really and gone to Kilmarnock.
Yeah, I remember him the first time he came. He was very influential then. He's a big strong player. He's always been like that, but he's very good on the ball, very useful when he's in possession. He's a big player for Killie since he's came in. He's been excellent, and again they've missed him when he has had a couple of niggle injuries and he's missed games. They've certainly missed him in midfield because he's such a strong, powerful player for them. So he's been great since he was re-signed.
What is happening around the grounds? Not much, according to Fraser Wisher at Dens Park. Almost a 3rd for Kilmarnock, and it was almost a Finlay Curtis 2nd of the day. It was really good work from David Watson, who came off the bench, and Finlay Curtis just unable to convert. Hibs are firmly on top against Falkirk, as the scoreline suggests.
Do you take your foot off the pedal slightly though? 3 up, half time, coasting. Not sure we'll get any more goals there.
No, I fancy one more.
It's also they're too far away really in terms of goal difference on Motherwell for that to be a big factor in the final days of the season. If there was only a couple of goals in it, maybe that changes the mentality a bit, but I think there's just too many goals for them to make up for that to be a factor. It would be if it comes down to goal difference, it will be Motherwell that should come out on top. There's another goal in Paisley.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Well, he just missed a chance to get his 2nd of the game, but he scored this one. It's St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 3, and it's Finlay Curtis once again curling the ball into the bottom corner. Another really good finish from Finlay Curtis. He has his 2nd, he has Kilmarnock's 3rd, and that will be 3 points for Neil McCann's side.
Well, the Dazzler has called it correctly. St Mirren will go to Aberdeen next weekend, and their former manager, the man who brought them the Premier Sports Cup against Celtic in December, Stephen Robinson, will consign St Mirren to the playoff final.
Yeah, I mean, that's now, it would be 4 points would be the difference between the teams with 2 games remaining. That's it done for you.
And I think this is a real damaging blow as well. You can't take away from it. 3-0 at home against a team that's sitting just above you in the league. That just shows you where St Mirren are at this moment in time. Going to Aberdeen midweek, I can't see them getting anything there. Their season will be done within the top flight. It'll probably allow them the weekend to rest players for I think they play, would it be Tuesday night they would play in the playoff game. So yeah, this is a hugely damaging result for St Mirren today. But again, flip it, excellent from Kilmarnock. Loads of question marks on the road, and they've answered them today.
I think the playoff fixtures could be subject to change though, depending on who's in the final, because if Dunfermline get through, of course those games will be around the Scottish Cup final, so they'd have to move them to accommodate for Dunfermline, and Might not happen though. Partick Thistle may get through, but it's something for the SPFL to think about, certainly.
Who'd you fancy in that one, Hugh?
Which one?
Lenny against Wilson?
I think that would be very, very close. My heart says Mark Wilson. My head says Lenny would have a big chance.
I've got a real sneaky that Partick are going to do. I think they deserve it. I think they've been excellent this season. As I say, I was up there watching what he works under, and I'm not just saying this because he's a good friend of mine. I've worked in this programme with him. He's limited in absolutely everything, and to finish second in these playoffs and his home record, and even going to St Mirren in the Cup, and they were excellent that night. They outplayed St Mirren for me. What a fantastic job he's done. Absolutely fantastic job. I just hope he gets a bigger job and he realises that I gave him his first start at Airdrie and I'm sitting in this studio with A2 every week.
You'd suspect that Dunfermline will probably need to up their level from last night if they want to cause some real damage to Partick Thistle.
Yeah, but they've certainly done that this season. When they've played, they've knocked out 3 top flight teams to get to the final, the Scottish Cup final. So they've shown they can rise to the big occasions. They're going to have 2 massive occasions against Partick. They're going to have to be at their best. I think that game will be really, really tight between the 2 teams. So it'll be an interesting one to see who it looks like certainly St Mirren are going to face.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Dundee 2, Livingston 0. Finn Robertson just off the bench and onto the score sheet. Turned in a low Cameron Congreve cross at the back post. He was about 8 yards out, and it is 2-0 to Dundee over the relegated Livingston.
And Livingston's season now just peters out. Well done to Stephen Presley, the man who began the season not wanted by the Dundee fans, who will end the season very, very close to Dundee United. Still time to see if we could go level with Dundee United or even surpass them, and that would be a story in itself.
Yeah, it would move them 9 points above St Mirren in 11th place. So Dundee will be absolutely fine. There was maybe a danger just the way results went today that they could potentially in the last couple of games be looking at a bit of danger, but they certainly won't be now. And as you say, we'll maybe be looking ahead at Aberdeen, who are only 1 point above them. Dundee United 4 points above them.
Yeah, as I say, for Stephen Presley, he's done a terrific job there. And in the face of not a campaign against him, but a school of thought that he wasn't really wanted by the Dundee fans, but he's ending the season very strongly.
Yeah, certainly, wasn't heavily favoured by a lot of people going in there, Stephen Presley, but he'll be very happy with the job he's done this season.
Over the moon with the job he's done. I think his biggest problem was he's such a character. You've got to know him, but he came out with his opening statement, and I don't think the Dundee fans really took to that. But he was up front, he was honest. He came out there and said it was all about keeping them in the league. He was finishing strong. I thought a lot of people had written him off. He's brought in some good players and at times played really entertaining football. So you've got to give him all the credit in the world for it. Good job that he's done there.
Aberdeen have had to be pretty strong defensively to keep Dundee United at bay. Dundee United trying their best but just unable to breach that Aberdeen defence. It is Hamilton 2, 4-0. No surprise that it's Ollie Shaw on the score sheet again for the second time today. So Hamilton cruising their way through to the playoff final. There is a penalty for Livingston. It was a Samuels foul on Lewis Smith, so they'll get the chance to take one from the spot. And there's been a goal at the Falkirk Stadium.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It's Falkirk 1, Hibs 3. Could Falkirk get back into it? It's Ben Brogio with a really good strike, and it is 3-1 in that game.
So if you get back into it, Cammy and I will get text messages at 7:20 tomorrow morning.
I told you it'd be another goal there. I just had it written all over it, didn't it? Hibs 3 up, Falkirk will be pushing. They've nothing to lose now. So, yeah, look, to make it exciting, if they could get another one in the next 5-10, it would be really exciting. But what a good game that's been, and a chance for Livy to get back into the game at Dens. Have we written them off too quickly?
No.
Have they scored?
No. There's just some VAR drama ongoing at a couple of games. It's quite busy at VAR at Clydesdale House, I should say, because
is Big Marv outside there shouting never a penalty, never a penalty?
I think there's a check. There's a check for a Dundee United penalty. Ivan Dolcek went down. That's not a penalty. I think, are they still checking that penalty at Livingston potentially? I'll see what has happened. No, I think that penalty, the penalty has been taken and been saved.
That sums it up.
Yeah. Saved by the feet of the goalkeeper, so it remains
who
as it
had
was.
the penalty? Who took the penalty?
That is a very good question. Robbie Muirhead took the penalty and was saved by the feet of O'Hara. Struck down the middle, and it's saved by the feet of O'Hara. So Livingston don't get their way back into the game from the penalty spot.
Well, after the way they treated Big Marv, good.
He'll be doing a double shift in Arfield's pub tomorrow. You're on the doubler.
Just looking at that Ben Brogio goal for Falkirk against Hibs, he's been a really good pickup by Falkirk. They've done well in the loan market this season, as have another couple of clubs. Dundee have done well with the wingers they've had, but Ben Brogio has come up. I don't think he'd played any senior football, and has come up and has scored quite a few goals.
Yeah, and listen, I think it was one of the ones that were identified by John McGinn. I think he spoke to his brother and he's came up. He's been fantastic. He's scored a lot of goals since he's came up from Aston Villa on loan, and it's great. Falkirk have been excellent in the low market this season. That's why they've been so good as well. A number of players have brought in, have been starters for them, and they've really affected game. But he's certainly been one that's been a standout and really thrived on the opportunity of playing senior football up here.
Because quite often you see players come up that haven't played any senior football from bigger clubs down south, and they've only been playing in the sort of Premier League 2, the Youth League, and a lot of the time the players come up don't really make too much of an impact. But he's made an impact. Been a few players this season that have come up, maybe not played a lot of senior football, but done well.
Yeah, of course, they get the opportunity to go and play in a good league, competitive league. Very, very good standard, and it's up to them to go and show that they're good enough to do that. Listen, John Maclean and his scouting team have got a great eye for talent. You talk about people coming up for Division 2, the story of the year's Barry Stewart. Look where he was playing. So I think Falkirk have been excellent. They can be really happy with their season, everything about it. They'll be a bit disappointed that they didn't reach the cup final, right? They went in heavy favourites, you've got to say, but all credit to Neil Lennon. What a job he done there. But when he looks back, and not just this season, over the last few seasons, they've been absolutely a breath of fresh air, Falkirk.
Toyosi Olasanya, he's had a few chances for Aberdeen today. This one is a shot that's deflected wide of the goal as Aberdeen look to put a bit more pressure on Dundee United now after a spell for Dundee United. We're looking the better side.
Well, Dave's got a fine end to the game there. And then off to KFC, or what is it he goes?
Wimpy. There's not one in Aberdeen though. You'd need to be driving to Dingwall to get it. That's where he stops off.
That's an oversight on behalf of Aberdeen City Council, is it not?
Yeah, I just look forward to a Saturday night, Sunday morning, see what seat he's sitting in the double-decker bus on the way home.
Shall we check in on that teaser, Hugh?
Okay, this is your last chance, Rolly. I have played for 6 different clubs back to back as a lone player. I've won the FA Trophy and the Scottish Championship. I've been managed by Mickey Mellon and Owen Coyle. And I played with Graham Dorrans and Paul McGowan. Who am I?
A few more answers coming in. Blue Wheels says Declan Glass.
No.
Michael Watson has gone for Mark McNulty. So is Derek Curran.
No.
I do like this from John Moran, who has just replied to it saying, not sure, to be honest.
I don't think he's alone.
I like the honesty.
A tough one, that.
Honesty is the best policy.
There are a few correct answers though, so people have managed to work it out. Well done to those, but keep those answers coming in. Forfar have a goal back on Hamilton. It's not going to mean anything. It was from the penalty spot. Jake Sutherland with 10 minutes to go in that game. Clyde have scored a penalty, which means that it looks like it will be Hamilton against Clyde, that game that we were talking about earlier on.
First?
That's a good point, actually. I assume it will be Clyde at home first, because I think the advantage goes to Hamilton because they are the team in the division above. So Hamilton will be home and away first and Clyde will be home and away second.
Right, okay. work that one out.
Clear as mud.
Some changes going on. Anderson and Mackenzie coming on for Kilmarnock. Hugo and Kilty go off. A good afternoon's work done by the Kilmarnock players. Dundee United have been awarded a free kick just outside the D. Dalziel made a bit of a hash of it. He looked as if he was going to be a real bright spark at the start of the season, Ivan Dalziel, didn't he? Scored a few goals for Dundee United early on, but hasn't really played all that much football.
No, he was excellent. I covered a couple of games at the start of the season and thought he's a right good player. Started the season so well, and then he just died away. I think he had an injury, dropped out, and he's never really recovered, because as you say, there's been games that he's been on the bench, he's found himself out of the team, and he's never really been able to get back to that form he had at the start of the season. So that probably sums up Dundee United's season. There was a number of players at the start of the season that they brought in, a lot of players that started the season well and have just faded away and not been able to handle the season in Scottish football. So I mentioned it before, it'll be a big summer for Jim Goodwin, because again the Dundee United fans will be frustrated with this season.
In about 20 minutes time we will be taking your calls on the open line, so maybe start thinking about what you want to put to the panel. Of course, I think a lot of the discussion will be about Motherwell Hearts tonight, Celtic against Rangers tomorrow. What do you think are the sort of main talking points?
I think permutations. Those who will say Motherwell will win, and if Celtic win tomorrow then Hearts are under pressure, and there'll be others who say Hearts will win and it's all over for Celtic and Rangers, and their season is about the bragging rights when they play tomorrow. So for me, the tone is set by the Motherwell result tonight, and Celtic and Rangers pick up the pieces, whatever the pieces look like, by midday tomorrow.
Certainly will be interesting in terms of team news as well. There will be the debate, as there always is with Celtic, whether it is Daisen Maeda or Kelechi Iheanacho up front. I see that Cameron Carter-Vickers was in training this week. I'd be very surprised if he was anywhere near it. You then look at Rangers. Danny Rule has faced a bit of criticism, especially for the way that they lined up against Hearts. You'd expect that he'll be looking to make changes as well.
Big questions for both sides, and again it's certainly when you look at Celtic being at home, they'll be expected to take the game to Rangers, but again Danny Rule needs to find a team that can get 3 points out of this, because it's vital that he doesn't let the season get away from him, because the more poor results that he gets, the last two have been really disappointing, off the back of a decent win against Falkirk as you break into the split, and then you lose a game against Motherwell, and certainly the one on Monday was a must win for me against Hearts for Rangers. They'll lose that, so they can't let this season just peter out, because I think it just adds pressure to Danny Rule.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Well, Livingston had become pretty hard to beat under Marvin Bartley, but he's gone and they are being beaten comprehensively. It is Ashley Hay on the score sheet for Dundee now. Dundee 3, Livingston 0, and that will comfortably wrap up the 3 points for Stephen Presley.
To go back to the game tomorrow, one of our quiz questions earlier today, Chermiti looking to score back-to-back goals against Celtic at Celtic Park. Goal scoring is what it's all about. There's Chermiti, there's Ryan Nadiri, there's Bojan Majowski for Rangers. Celtic's top scorer and voted their top player of the season at their own award ceremony last weekend is Benjamin Nygren. He scored 1 goal in his last 8 games, 1 in 12 hours worth of football. They rely on Maeda, who has certainly come to life again under Martin O'Neill, but scoring once in a blue moon for Celtic this season. And that for me is the problem. Iheanacho will no doubt come on 20 minutes to go, because that's all he can do. Brian Graham on the programme with Dalziel on Thursday night, condemnatory where Iheanacho is concerned, said that he was Celtic playing with 10 men if he wasn't at it, because he's immobile and lazy. Best finisher, Brian Graham said, but lazy. That's the problem. That for me could be what turns the game one way or the other tomorrow.
It'll be interesting. I think he'll play Maeda through the middle, right? I do agree with that. It's who he plays off that left hand side for me. Connected for me never produces. Never. He's a little bit an impact player as well when he comes on. Forrest, I don't like Forrest off the left hand side, and I know that he can play him and then swap Yang or whatever it may be. That's a big dilemma, I think, for Celtic tomorrow. Who plays off that left hand side for them?
Tonekti came on one afternoon in Ayrshire, one Sunday afternoon against Kilmarnock, and scored a magnificent goal.
Yeah.
And it sparked Celtic into life. They were 2 down and they won the game 3-2. But that's all I remember about them this season.
Dundee United's hopes of getting back into that game against Aberdeen have taken a hit because Emmanuel Aguier has been sent off. A second bookable offence for him with 6 minutes to go. So if Dundee United are going to get anything from Pittodrie, they'll need to do it with 10 men.
Well, players being foolishly sent off is becoming the story of the end to the season. But I think that will peter out at 1-0.
Falkirk are pressing. They are trying to get themselves closer to Hibs. It is 3-1 in that game, and Alloa have scored against Airdrieonians. Callum Adamson on the score sheet with 3 minutes to go, and pretty much confirming that Airdrieonians will be playing League One football next season.
Well, it's a depressed area. You've got Airdrie and their problems. You've got the Ackies, although they're doing fine in their playoff, but they've got problems off the park that they have to contend with. It's a problem area.
Certainly Motherwell that's flying the flag for that sort of area at the moment. East Kilbride, you could throw them into it as well. They've had a good season, but yeah, it's a massive goal for Alloa, especially being part-time team against a full-time team of Airdrie. To get that result over the 2 legs is fantastic.
Shall we wrap up this teaser, Hugh, before
I've got it at
we
the end.
get any? You think you've got it?
I've got it at the end. I'll show Cammy it, right? And Cammy can tell me if I'm wrong.
I'm extremely suspicious if Gordon Dalziel gets this. Has he got it?
Yep.
The second half teaser with Archiplan Glasgow. Planning permission and building warrants drawings for home extension, conversion or renovation.
He played for 6 different clubs back to back as a loan player. He won the FA Trophy and the Scottish Championship. He was managed by Mickey Mellon and Owen Coyle, and he played with Graham Dorrans and Paul McGowan. He is Josh McPake.
It is St Johnstone's Josh McPake, who is of course moving to Hearts at the end of this season. In third place was Mark McGraw. It was Wee Scooch in second place, but Aidan was quickest off the mark. So well done to Aidan, who tops the podium. Before you give any extra information, just want to quiz Gordon Dalziel on how he got to that conclusion. You sort of give us the details, who he won the FA Trophy with.
Was it Burton or something? Was Burton or something? He played with McGowan at Dundee. He went in about...
He went down south. Was he Harrogate?
It was at Harrogate.
Yes, sorry.
And that's where he won the FA Trophy.
Do you think I cheated there?
Of course.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course we do.
How did I cheat?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
But anyway, it adds to the
I'm
story.
not a magician, aren't you? You don't know how I cheat.
No.
Is that what you're trying to say there, Carl?
No, I'm not trying to say anything.
There's no Roger Hanna.
It's one of two things. You've either seen Hugh's sheet.
I did.
Is that it? Simple as that?
Yeah, turned it round. I just at the end, yeah.
There we go. You need to keep that closer to your chest. This happens quite often.
But as I say, it adds to the story of Josh McPake. This guy has helped St Johnstone up into the Premiership. He's going to Hearts if Hearts win the league, and if Hearts qualify for the Champions League. The Champions League. This guy was at Dundee on loan in 2019, then Morton, then Harrogate, then Morecambe, then Tranmere and Queen's Park. In the space of 4 years, he was at 6 teams on loan, and this guy could be in the Champions League next season.
Wow. He's been, by the way, he's been brilliant this season. Excellent player. I've always thought he's had talent. He lost his way a little bit. I think going to St Johnstone's helped him. The style of football they play has helped him as well. And listen, and you wish him all the best at Hearts when he joins them.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Aberdeen making the most of being against 10 men. They have the goal to put them 2-0 up against Dundee United. He's had a few chances today to Yossi Olasanya, and he's put this one in. A simple finish after a Lyle Cameron shot was saved. So it is Aberdeen 2, Dundee United 0. and Olasanya on the rebound to give Aberdeen the lead and to secure the 3 points.
Miserable end for Dundee United. Cuffed 3-0 by Kilmarnock last week. Cuffed 2-0 by Aberdeen this week.
Real chance for Aberdeen to maybe catch up with Dundee United as well. Just 3 points in it with 2 games remaining.
Yeah, and you look at their fixture against St Mirren, they'll want to go and try and catch Dundee United. Of course they will. It's a real opportunity for them to try and finish the season on as high as they can, build momentum for next season. And listen, the manager spoke about a lot of players playing for their future at the club. So yeah, I would imagine they'll approach it in the right manner to go and try and win the rest of their games.
I've got another conspiracy theory coming. Stephen Robinson won the cup with St Mirren, loves the club, left the club for Aberdeen, bigger club.
Lies down.
Maybe do St Mirren a wee turn next week. Watch this space.
3 minutes of stoppage time added at Dens Park between Dundee and Livingston. I think the Livingston players would probably just wish that the full-time whistle would go and not wanting to play that extra 3 minutes. There is 2 minutes added between St Mirren and Kilmarnock. That one is of course done and dusted as well. Pretty much all the games are decided now heading into injury time. Hibs with a 2-goal lead, Dundee with a 3-goal lead, Kilmarnock with a 3-goal lead, and Aberdeen with a 2-goal lead.
Well,
lots of goals.
Yeah, they provided entertainment. The best sides have come to the top, and it looks like the consequences will be, well, we know Livy gone. St Mirren are certainties for the playoff now, and a good finish to the season for Dundee. Aberdeen now have St Mirren to face, and Stephen Robinson has an Aberdeen crowd to provide satisfaction for, so he can't be thinking about sentimentality in St Mirren next week.
The Aberdeen crowd are not directing their feelings towards Stephen Robinson, they're directing them towards Jim Goodwin, and they're singing Goodwin, Goodwin, what's the score, is the chant coming from the Red Shed. It is full time between Hamilton and Forfar. A 2-1 win on the day for Hamilton, a 5-2 win on aggregate. Looks as if they're going to face Clyde in that promotion relegation playoff between League 1 and League 2. I'm sure that'll pique the interest of quite a lot of people just based on the stadium story.
Is it the case then the Aberdeen fans have not forgiven Jim Goodwin for Darvel? I mean, to take that as read?
Yeah, I think that's probably the case.
It is an incredible result, that. But listen, lads, it was brilliant working with you this afternoon. I'll enjoy the show heading out to Fir Park, but I'm listening. I need to get away.
Nonsense.
I think I'll be before the traffic. I've already in the contract I'm allowed to leave at 5 o'clock tonight.
What?
That's not true.
Yeah,
that
big
is
game.
not true.
Absolutely
big,
not
big
true.
Game.
That is not true whatsoever. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah,
it's an 8 o'clock kickoff.
Have you seen that traffic?
We will have the open line between 5 and 6, and Gordon DL will be there to take your calls. It is full time at the Smiza Stadium between St Mirren and Kilmarnock. David Friel.
Full time, Andrew. St Mirren 0, Kelly 3. Not a good day for St Mirren. There was loud boos just a few seconds ago. Kilmarnock rampant here. They don't get many wins on the road, but this is one of the biggest of them all, as they took a major step towards safety. Really, Finlay Cutter scored twice as Neil McCann's side moved 4 points clear of St Mirren, who stay in that relegation playoff spot. Kelly have games against Dundee and Livy to come, but they may have done enough already. On this form, St Mirren will struggle to win any points, and as fate would have it, former manager Stephen Robinson could seal their fate at Aberdeen in midweek. They were really poor, they are in dire straits, deep trouble, and they're really probably starting to think about that playoff against either Partick Thistle or Dunfermline. Mark Wilson was here watching the game, and if they can get through past Dunfermline, I don't think they will have any fear about facing St Mirren on this form. That was a negative, but the positive was Kelly. They were flying. They secured just a second away win of the Premiership season. They started better. They took the lead in 9 minutes through a Miguel Freckleton own goal. Tom Lowry's cross caused chaos in the box. The St Mirren defender turned it into his own net. Kelly were on top, but it was the first half a few chances until Mark O'Hara was denied by Kelly keeper Max Stryek just before the break. That was a really big moment as St Mirren then collapsed in the second half. Within 39 seconds of the restart, Kelly were 2-0 up. Greg Kilty did really well. He won the ball. It fell for Finlay Curtis, and he didn't mess about, culling a brilliant finish into the bottom corner. St Mirren had a brief flurry. They had some half chances, but Joe Hugo and Curtis could have made it free when they missed really good chances, but Curtis did kill the game off in 6 to 8 minutes with another brilliant strike. Lowry nudged the ball to an angle of the box. It was almost a replica of his first goal. Once again, he found the corner. What a finish it was. He was given a standing ovation when he was subbed off before the end. He deserved it. The Killie fans then taunted their St Mirren counterparts, saying you're going down with the levy. On this evidence, you wouldn't argue with that. These are worrying times in Paisley, but a huge win for Kilmarnock. Full time, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 3.
It's also full time at Dens Park. Fraser Wishart.
Yeah, Dundee 3, Livingston 0. The fans were on their feet here as well, cheering. At the end of the game, wasn't a classic, but it's job done by Dundee. They'll be playing in the Premiership football next season. The team 90 minutes, more like a pre-season game, but it was a fairly straightforward victory. Congreve and subs Robertson and Hay with the goals. There's two teams at the break. It was a 14th minute Cameron Congreve goal. Simon Murray headed the ball down into Congreve's path. The young winger just took his time, took a nice touch and a lovely calm finish from 6 yards. Murray had a couple of decent chances. One was stopped by Prior, a good save low to his right. Livingston's best effort came from Macaulay Tate early on. He broke through and his low shot was tipped wide by O'Hara. It was a really good save by the keeper, but the second half started pretty poor. Newbly headed a Mackay cross onto the top of the net, but all in all nothing much happening at either end. Cammy Kerr, Dundee supporter, had a half chance to equalise, just couldn't quite get his feet in the right position to go into a low cross from Smith. It was 2-0 in 72 minutes. Cameron Congreve, the goal scorer of the first, the creator of the second. He twisted and turned in the box. He didn't do it so many times. He went to the byline this time with his weaker right foot, lovely low cross to back post, and sub Finlay Roberts came in to side foot home from 8 yards. Team this way to Livy, had a perfect chance to get a goal back. Lewis Smith burst into the box. He was fouled by sub and Mary Samuels inside the box. Robbie Muirhead were up to take the penalty. He struck it really well, but too close to the goalkeeper. O'Hara dived to his left and saved with his feet, and that was their chance gone. It's in 83 minutes, 3-0 to Dundee. Robertson scored the second, Crater of the third. Lovely chip to the back post on the left. Ashley Hay jumped with Prior. The ball just bumbled around, and I think it was Hay that got the final touch as the ball just dribbled into the back of the net. Dundee fans can enjoy the last two games and reflect on a pretty decent season and no relegation haunts over the last couple of games, but for Livy it just looked like the end of the season can't come quick enough for them. Full time at Dens Park, Dundee 3, Livingston 0.
It's also full time at the Falkirk Stadium. Gabriel Antoniazzi.
Falkirk 1, Hibs 3, a Josh Campbell double and a thunderous strike from Jordan Obita gave David Gray's side command at half-time. For a late rally from Falkirk, thanks to a great goal from Ben Briojo. It added a bit of excitement to the end of the game, but it is a huge 3 points for the visitors, who tighten their grip on 5th place. Keeping 11 men on the park made all the difference to the Leeds side today, Andrew. Campbell's first came after just 3 minutes. An in-swinging corner from Obita was headed home through the Falkirk keeper. Then saw 15 minutes of domination for the hosts. Control and crosses, but no real chances. And they looked so weak defensively. Campbell took advantage of that again when he got his second with a great ball in from the left from Martin Boyle. Another well-timed run and another good header. Obita scored himself 5 minutes before the break. A great strike from the left, and Hibs were in total command there. That continued into the second half. They had much more control of the ball than in the first 45. But both teams so suspect at the back, and it has been the case for a lot of the season. A substitute, Ben Brojo, gave Falkirk a lifeline with a fantastic strike just outside the box with 20 minutes to play. There was a really good chance for another sub, Ethan Ross. It looked like it was going in with a glancing header, and we were all set for a grand finale, but it just went wide. The Hibs, even if unconvincingly, they did manage to hang on to all 3 points. They're now 5 points clear of Falkirk and on course for European football. They're only 3 behind Motherwell in 4th now, Andrew, but of course it's Motherwell Hearts this evening, and every fan here in green and white, as well as all the fans in green and white back in Glasgow, will be hoping for a Motherwell victory. It's a disappointing end for Falkirk, whose season is almost certainly over now. They will likely finish 6th, but it has been a great achievement upon their return to the top flight. Full time here, it's Falkirk 1, Hibs 3.
And finally, full time at Pittodrie, Dave Galloway.
Yeah, full time Aberdeen 2, Dundee United 0. United were edging things in the early stages of the first half, but the home team, a bit against the run of play, went ahead on 90 minutes. Impressive work by Olasanya, and he set up Armstrong to finish coolly and calmly into the bottom corner of the net. This tipped the balance of play in favour of the Dons. Aguirre was booked for a tackle on Olasanya a couple of yards outside the box, and Nisbet's free kick came off the wall and behind for a corner. United with a couple of changes at the interval. It started the second half well. Sapsford smartly finished from across from the right hand side, but the celebrations were quickly cut short by a flag for offside, and that decision was backed by VAR. Waters fired over from a tight angle, and Mitov saved from Chevet's close-range shot as the visitors pushed hard for an equaliser. There were loud appeals for a United penalty when Dalziel went down in the box, but again, the VAR panel said no. The Dons were looking strong defensively though and started to threaten an attack. Olisanya had a shot deflected away from goal and also lashed over after Frame's cross picked him out. The striker working very hard but lacking composure. The Tangerines were down to 10 men after Agui's second booking for fouling Olisanya. That was 84 minutes in, but the Dons made it 2-0 through that man Olisanya. 4 minutes after that, 88 minutes on the clock. Cameron with a great shot from 20 yards. Richards managed to parry it, but the striker pounced to make it 2-0 to Aberdeen. So a good day at the office for the Dons. They had to weather a couple of storms, but they just about deserved the 3 points in the end, which makes them mathematically safe now in the top flight. It finished Aberdeen 2, Dundee United 0.
And now it is over to you. 0141 951 1025 on the phones. We will be taking your calls for the next hour, so get them lined up now. Big wins for Aberdeen, Dundee, Kilmarnock and Hibs. So any thoughts on any of those matches? Give us a call on 0141 951 1025. Interested to hear from you happy Kilmarnock fans. What about the other side of the story from you St Mirren fans? And of course, 2 huge Premiership games still to come this weekend. We want all your final thoughts ahead of them. Maybe you're heading to Fir Park for Motherwell against Hearts, a huge one at the top, and of course Celtic against Rangers, the Old Firm clash tomorrow. Final chance to get your thoughts in ahead of those games. Massive in the title race. I'm sure you've got some thoughts. 0141 951 1025. We will speak to you next.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast was brought to you by White and Mackay. A calm head amongst the chaos. 18 plus. Keep the heat and always drink responsibly.
Commuting from work? Pretty slow, isn't it? More time in the car. Joy. Maybe you don't feel it. Maybe you don't drive a Lexus NX yet. But when you do, you'll see the positive of peak hour, the delight in a detour, the love of the long way. The Lexus NX plug-in hybrid. Experience amazing before you arrive.
I'm Professor Noel Fitzpatrick, and as a vet, I know you want the best care for your animal companion. Pet insurance can help, but you need to choose wisely as not all policies are the same. Pet Plan aim to pay claims quickly and without a fuss, and that's one reason why so many vets work with them.
Get your pet the best veterinary care. Save 10% on new policies when you insure at petplan.co.uk. T's and C's apply. Fitz-all Media is an appointed representative of Pet Plan Limited.
Oh, bad traffic. Great news, isn't it? More time in the car. Joy. Maybe you don't feel it. Maybe you don't drive a Lexus NX yet. But when you do, you'll see the positive of peak hour, the delight in a detour, the love of the long way. The Lexus NX plug-in hybrid. Experience amazing before you arrive.
I'm Professor Noel Fitzpatrick, and as a vet, I know you want the best care for your animal companion. Pet insurance can help, but you need to choose wisely as not all policies are the same. Pet Plan aim to pay claims quickly and without a fuss, and that's one reason why so many vets work with them.
Get your pet the best veterinary care. Save 10% on new policies when you insure at petplan.co.uk. T's and C's apply. Fitz-all Media is an appointed representative of Pet Plan Limited.
Now with Lidl Plus, collect points that you can turn into possibilities. Pepper abilities, pasta abilities, burrata abilities, kayak abilities. So collect and spend your Lidl Plus points on hundreds of rewards or money off coupons. Lidl, more to value. Exclusions apply for T's and C's. Lidl.co.uk/LPTV 18 plus GB only.
What's on TV? The answer is a lot. There's never been more choice over what to put on the box with an abundance of great new shows, but you can miss them all if you don't know where to look. And that's where the Pilot TV podcast comes in, your essential guide to every show that matters. Each week we sift through the very best in prestige TV to help you decide what's worth spending your time on and what isn't. So join me, James Dyer, as well as venerable TV critics Boyd Hilton and Kay Ribeiro, and let us help take the stress out of your downtime. The Pilot TV podcast, because you can't watch everything.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with White and Mackay, full of half-formed and loudly voiced opinions. It's like your local pub on Clyde One. Smoothly does it. The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Gordon Dalziel, Cammy and Hugh Keevins here with me, Andrew Maclean, taking your calls through to 6 o'clock. A day of action in the Scottish Premiership isn't over yet, because a huge match tonight between Motherwell and Hearts, and then an old firm clash at Celtic Park tomorrow. So any thoughts on any of the games that have happened or the games that are going to happen this weekend? 0141 951 1025. I'm interested to hear from you Kilmarnock and St Mirren fans. I'm sure very different feelings coming out of that game in Paisley. A 3-0 win for Kilmarnock. St Mirren fans, do you think that is it? Are you doomed to finish in 11th place now and have to scrap through the relegation playoffs? Kilmarnock fans, how confident are you that you'll be able to avoid that 11th place? Maybe you're a happy Hibs fan or a happy Aberdeen or Dundee fan, or maybe you're heading along to Fir Park for that game between Motherwell and Hearts, or you want to get a final bit of build-up in before tomorrow's Celtic Rangers match. Hugh, you want to look back, look forward? What are you thinking?
You've got to look forward now. We know that the day has produced a safety element to it for Kilmarnock. We know it's produced a jeopardy element to it for St Mirren. But now we've got to turn our attention to Fir Park, 8 o'clock tonight, Motherwell Hearts. It sets the tone for the Old Firm game tomorrow. If Hearts win, I think that's the league over. If Hearts drop points at Fir Park, game on.
Yeah, I think it's been a good day for, obviously, Kilmarnock. I think St Mirren are bang in trouble, and I think even their supporters know that. They go to Aberdeen next weekend, midweek, and that's a difficult one. But I think they'll finish in 11th place. Hibs put a little bit of pressure on Motherwell, as much as Hearts are looking to go there and win. I do agree with you. I think if Hearts get a result at Fir Park tonight, it's only theirs to lose now. I think they'll go and beat Falkirk, and the goal difference would be enough to get them over the line. But I don't see that happening tonight. I think Motherwell are a very, very hard team to play against at Fir Park.
0141 951 1025 on the phones. Let's start with Robbie, who is a Celtic fan in Falkirk. Robbie, what are you thinking heading into tomorrow's game?
Good evening, Andrew, and a shout out to the panel. I just want to make a point about the team selection for tomorrow, and I'll make a second point on the title race and my thoughts on that. So regarding the front line tomorrow, in an ideal world, I would have Dalziel Maeda on the left, Iheanacho in the middle and Forrest on the right, but that's not going to happen, because Celtic would then be lightweight for people coming off the bench. So I think that there's a good chance, though, that what I just said there might end the game, because Iheanacho will actually be a sub. I think he'll go for Maeda through the middle. I would go for Forrest on the right and Yang on the left. Now, I think that what will actually happen as the game progresses to the last 20 minutes is he'll bring somebody off, and it'll probably be Iheanacho through the middle, Maeda on the left, and whoever is on the right. I think, as much as what Hugh Keevins says about Celtic being the lightweight up top, I agree with him, but I do think that Dalziel Maeda's been coming on to a game. Iheanacho's been coming on and scoring very, very important goals. Even if he was, I would ready to say half fit, but even if he's a quarter fit, it doesn't really matter, because he's been so impressive coming off the bench. And Nygren, as much as again, a start that you says he's not scored a lot of goals in the last whatever it is, how many games?
One goal in 8 games.
But if you let me finish, he can still come up with a game with a goal. And so I think Nygren, Iheanacho, even if he's coming on for the last 20 minutes, and Maeda, there's enough firepower up there to deal with Rangers tomorrow. So that's my first point.
I think the discussion that we're having about Celtic squad has been created by the decline in the squad, which has been allowed to take place by shocking transfer windows. All of the deadwood that has been allowed to accumulate at Celtic, and no one can think of who can play here or there, because there's no strength and depth involved with Celtic, particularly in the wide positions. You have Yang. Tenekte is by and large a waste of time. So it's about the decline which has been allowed to take place in the squad. So you can come up with whichever permutation you like, but
it will, in all probability, be Yang, Maeda and Tanekti who'll start the game, and James Forrest will come on, as will Iheanacho. Celtic had better hope that when they come on, they don't have to retrieve a situation that's possibly beyond Celtic.
Dalziel Maeda's hitting form at the right time coming into this game. He's got 4 in his last 3 games. Could he be a real difference maker tomorrow if he's at his best, which he seems to be getting back to over the past few games?
100%. When he's at his best, you've seen what he achieved last year, the season before, when he picked up every award. He scored 30 goals or whatever it may be. He was absolutely on fire. So he showed that he can achieve that. He can do it. He's got the ability for it. This is a massive game tomorrow. It's up to him. I do believe he will play through the middle from the start. And if you're a Rangers defender and a goalkeeper, you'll need to be aware, because he will close everything down. He's playing with that confidence. He's found a bit of form at the right time. He may just be the difference for Celtic.
What were your thoughts on the title race, the way it stands, Robbie?
I've called in maybe 2 or 3 times in the last couple of months, and I've always said that I think that Hearts, especially when it's been over the last maybe 2 or 3, 4 weeks, I've said that Hearts are probably going to win the league. But I will say this, and I'll say this with confidence: see Celtic all they need to do in the last game of the season, right, is to win that game. Hearts have got no chance, and I genuinely mean that. I don't think they've got much of a chance. If they've got to come to Celtic Park and all they need is a draw, but Celtic just need to win the game. I understand that they've got to drop points before that last game, but if they're coming to Celtic Park and all Celtic need to do is win the game without the goal difference, they've got no chance. There you go.
What gives you that belief? Because Hearts' record has been good against Celtic this season. I just think that we've been the last game of the season, and how important the game. I understand it being important for Hearts to pick up a point or whatever they need, but I've just been really confident with a rocking Celtic Park last game of the season, and I would think Celtic would pin Hearts back for most of the game, and I think they would just win the game. It would just be too much for Hearts. If Celtic just need to win the game in the last game of the season, and I know that's, after me saying that the last 3-4 weeks I've actually fancied Hearts for the league, but when it comes down to a one-off game, last game of the season, Celtic just need to win the game. No chance. There you go.
I wouldn't go no chance with Robbie, but I understand what he's saying. Listen, Hearts absolutely won't want to go into that game having to get a draw, because I think I understand what Robbie's trying to say is that, yes, Celtic, they're at home, they've got their home support behind them. If they just need to win that game to win the title, probably you would look at that they might end up being favourites of going and doing that. It'll be difficult because Hearts are a very good team, but listen, I think when you look at the firepower, there's nobody in Celtic's team you're hanging your hat on for goals, but what you've got there is you've got goals throughout the team, so they're looking for big moments tomorrow. They're looking for big players to step up. Maeda and Nygren, even Tierney stepped up at moments when he's needed to and scored goals for them, so they're looking for big players tomorrow to win the game. There's a lot of football to be played before that Hearts game at Celtic Park, but certainly I understand what Robbie's saying, but I would say there's absolutely, I wouldn't go with Robbie and say there's no chance that Hearts wouldn't manage to navigate their way through that.
It's the game in the middle, Cammy.
It is, yeah.
Motherwell Celtic at Fir Park. The last time Celtic were at Fir Park, and I do understand it was under Wilfred Nancy, and I do understand that he really didn't know what he was doing, but Celtic were absolutely taken apart by Motherwell, comprehensively beaten. And if they beat Rangers tomorrow, they'll be full of confidence, but it's a very, very awkward place to go.
Does Celtic get the job done tomorrow, Robbie?
I think it's going to be awfully tight. I just want to agree with you what he says about Taneke. I think Taneke's the type of player. He's got a lot of ability, but I think it's just between his ears. You can see the guy can go by people. He's got a trick in him. But I think he's better coming off the bench. I understand what you've said about him, Hugh, and about 90% of what you said, I totally agree about Taneke. But he's just one of these type of players that when he's got the ball at his feet, he's got a trick in him to get by, but his end products, it's quite inconsistent. And I think for him to come on the last 15 minutes, and he has shown you, to give him his credit, he's better off the bench than he is at starting games. I think you would probably agree with there, Hugh, as much as you've been having a go at him. I agree with you. I agree with a lot of what you're saying about him. But it's just between the ears. There's ability there with him, but his decision making. Yeah. That's what he's got to realise, Hugh, decision making.
Tanekti starts games because Celtic have such a weak squad, Otherwise, he wouldn't be anywhere near the place.
He starts it because of the balance, and he might do that tomorrow. I know that you look at Yang and you look at Forrest can come in there. I don't like Yang and Forrest playing because I think it unbalances the team. Tenecte, listen, Celtic seem now to have better players coming off the bench to change games than they have in the starting 11, and that is important in football, of course it is, and we've seen that in recent weeks. But it'll be interesting to see who starts off the left hand side. I would keep the balance tomorrow. I think Maeda's a stick on to play through the middle. Yang will play because I think you look at Yang at Celtic Park, I think he gives you something. He scored a brilliant goal the last time. It's just that left-hand side. And Tenecte, he may just hope and cross his fingers. Look, you give me the balance. Robbie's right. He's got something about him. He's got ability. He doesn't show it enough for me. But it could be the big game that he could maybe just step up.
Thank you to Robbie. Let's speak to David, who is a Rangers fan in Cumbernauld. David, what have you got for us?
I enjoyed Robbie's chat there, my favourite caller. Hugh, you sound confident as well, mate. You're saying that the middle game's the decider. What about tomorrow?
No, I said that.
What if Rangers beat Celtic tomorrow, mate?
That's it done for Celtic.
Right, I agree with you there. My main point was the night about Robbie, tell a lie, Finlay Curtis. The performances he's putting on at Kilmarnock at the moment is phenomenal. And obviously, I'm saying to the producer there, do you think he's got a career at Rangers next season?
Well, I knew that someone would call, and I predicted someone would call about Finlay Curtis, because inevitably Rangers fans will say, we're looking at Andreas Skov-Olsen, and he, since arriving at the club, has contributed nothing.
Zero.
Yeah. So inevitably Rangers fans will say, why did you let Finlay Curtis go? So I think Finlay Curtis took responsibility for his own career and wanted game time, and he felt he would get more game time at a club out with Rangers, and he has been proved 100% correct. But you go back to the moment when Kilmarnock made their approach. Should Rangers have said to Danny Rowe, are you sure about letting him go? Because in retrospect it now looks like a big mistake.
Whether it was the right decision or not for Rangers to loan him out, it certainly looks the right decision for Finlay Curtis and his development. We talked about it earlier on, the fact that he is now in with a shout of going to the World Cup with Scotland, the fact that he's got 3 goals in his last 2 games, he's playing a big part in Kilmarnock, looking like they're steering clear of relegation.
100%. Again, you look at, for me, Finlay Curtis made the correct decision. He wasn't going to get game time, probably had that conversation with the manager that his game time was going to be limited at Rangers between now and the end of the season. He's a young, hungry player who wants to play football at a good level. Kilmarnock are knocking on the door to take him on loan, so he's made the right decision. For me, Rangers made the wrong decision. I seen him earlier on in the season. I always thought there was a player in there. He's very exciting, he's very direct, he's committed to the club, he knows what Rangers is all about as well. So I was surprised when they let him go. You probably put it down to when Skov-Olsen signs, you look at his CV and you're expecting a lot more. I've been really, really disappointed with him. He's not turned up for Rangers at all since he's joined the club, and you would much rather see Finlay Curtis at Rangers in hindsight at this moment in time. But he's at Kilmarnock, he's a bright player. And Rangers fans, listen, he's got to have a future at Rangers, because if he doesn't have a future at Rangers, he'll be elsewhere, and that's the fact, because he's had that taste of football now. He'll want to go and progress his career.
I think at the time, I think Rangers looked at the situation. You're talking about wingers there. You're forgetting Antman, Kasama, Mikey Moore as well, Skov-Olsen.
Nadeem Barami's still at Rangers.
Right, so all of a sudden you've got a young kid who was coming on off the bench and showing real promise, and you're looking at all these players that you're hoping are going to step up to the mark. The unfortunate thing for Rangers is 2 things happened. Finlay Curtis has went to Kilmarnock and has been outstanding, and he's got an opportunity to be in the Scotland squad, right? And those guys, apart from Mikey Moore, have been dreadful. Have been absolutely dreadful. So it backfired on them.
Thank you to David. What about George, who's a Rangers fan in Govan? George, how are you feeling ahead of tomorrow?
God, well, I kind of fear for the worst. I'm not going to lie to you.
What's got you fearing the worst?
Well, Rangers, they start the first half decent, like we did against Hearts on Monday there. They came out the second half and were hopeless. And I feel like Danny Rule I'm not sure. I'm not sure about him anymore. I feel like he can't handle the tactics from the other manager.
It's a common theme, and I'll use George's expression. I'm not sure anymore. In other words, up until recently, they were sure. But then Motherwell booby-trapped Rangers' season. Then came the Hearts game. In Rangers' first 33 league games, they lost twice. Russell Martin was responsible for one of those defeats, and Danny Rule for the other. And then they lost twice, back to back, in the space of a week. And that has turned the whole Danny Rule situation on its head. George says, I'm not sure anymore. The real criticism of Danny Rule is 1 week old.
It is interesting listening to Danny Rule speaking yesterday. He was asked about, his tactics and responding to what Derek McInnes had done mid-game. And as we mentioned earlier on, he talked about players maybe being lazy. He used the word lazy. He talked about the fact that the way that they were playing, the players needed to move to try and open up the space and open up the game, and he felt that the players weren't doing that. Why would that be the case when the game is so big and you've got your manager accusing players of being lazy in a game that turned out to be season defining, essentially?
I think he was right. If you look at the week before that, the Motherwell players were all hammering down on the Rangers goal, and you had 3-4 midfield players of Rangers jogging back at Ibrox when the game was so important. It was the same at Tynecastle. Look, the manager will come in for a bit of criticism about tactics, but the players have got to take a big responsibility as well. You've still got 11v11 out there. It wasn't like Derek McInnes threw on 2 extra players and all of a sudden Rangers didn't know what to do. It was an extra midfield player. Come on, you've got to step up, you've got to react, you've got to go and do what you have to do. It's simple. Danny Rule's starting to lose, and I think it's massive for him tomorrow, because I think he'll lose more Rangers support. What is it? Do you get to the end of the season, you sack him again? Is that what Rangers do? Keep sacking managers, right? Or do you back him, and then if he doesn't produce it, you're going to sack him in October? So it's a catch-22. The one thing I'm not giving him, right? I don't really care what Rangers do with Danny Rule. I'm not bothered with it. The one thing I'm not giving him is, well, look where we were before he came in, right? It wasn't that long ago he was sitting top of the league. He did the strongest transfer window in January, spent the most money as well. Rangers fans were over the moon. We had them inundated here saying we're favourites to go and win the league, right? I think even Hugh backed him to go and win the league, and I totally understand his argument. He's failed. The minute, and Hugh says, the minute the split came, Motherwell went there, bang, failed. Hearts, must-win game, failed, right? But I keep going back to it. Do you sack him and start another manager role again? That's only Rangers' decision for me.
Thank you to George. 01419511025. Keep your calls coming.
Lots of men out there want to feel more confident in the bedroom. In fact, 1 in 5 men have issues as they get older. That's why MedExpress is here to provide support in minutes through a free online consultation. By completing the short online consultation, they'll suggest the right treatment for your concerns, all from the comfort of your home. And you know you're in the right place. They've been one of the country's leading online pharmacies since 2013 with over 1.5 million customers. Their UK-based clinical team will support you every step of the way and send your medication straight to your door. And the best bit is the whole process is online, so you don't even have to visit your GP. So no more planning or pressure, just confidence when you need it most. Visit medexpress.co.uk to check your eligibility and get 30% off with the code SuperScoreBoard. That's SuperScoreBoard, all one word, when you check out at medexpress.co.uk.
What? You didn't know you could get club card prices on Tesco travel insurance? Get away. Save 15% on your travel insurance in our summer sale and join over 1 million customers who've already trusted us with their cover. Buy direct using your club card to get 15% off, but only until the 8th of July. Don't miss our summer sale. Search Tesco Travel Insurance and get a quote direct today. Underwritten by AWP P&C SA. Offer excludes add-ons. T's and C's apply.
Grab the unrivaled Samsung Galaxy S26 Ultra with an incredible privacy display on EE, the UK's best network. You can save £20 per month Plus claim a Samsung Galaxy Tab S10 Lite. Now we're talking. So get yours today. Offer ends 28th of May. Saving on minimum 24-month 125GB airtime plan. Eligibility, credit check and terms apply. Credit by EE Limited. Claim from Samsung within 30 days of purchase. Verify best network at ee.co.uk/claims.
Commuting from work? Pretty slow, isn't it? More time in the car. Joy. Maybe you don't feel it. Maybe you don't drive a Lexus NX yet. But when you do, you'll see the positive of peak hour, the delight in a detour, the love of the long way. The Lexus NX plug-in hybrid. Experience amazing before you arrive.
After they play, you have your say. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Yes, we are taking your calls through to 6 o'clock, so maybe you want to reflect on some of the action that has happened today. Some big winners in the Scottish Premiership, maybe none more so than Kilmarnock, a 3-0 victory over St Mirren. Huge for the implications at the bottom of the table on the relegation playoff spot. So maybe your thoughts are on that game. 0141 951 1025. We've been looking ahead to tomorrow's match between Celtic and Rangers, so keep those thoughts coming. And of course, a massive one at 8 o'clock tonight, Motherwell against Hearts. Let's focus on that, shall we? Hugh is a Motherwell fan in Lanark. Hugh, how are you?
Yeah, good evening, panel. How are you this evening?
Good.
Yes, as you say, yeah, massive game tonight. Really excited. I'm just ready to walk out the door, head to the glorious Firth Park. I think this is going to be a massive game. I think it'll be a very tight game, but there will be goals in it. And I don't think Hearts will come out victors. I think it'll be a score draw, possibly. If you go and look at the previous games that's happened, 3 each beginning of the season, draw at Firth Park, then the game laterally a few weeks ago there where the Hearts came out winners. But if you go and look at that game, Motherwell should have been probably 3 or 4-1 up at one point, and we didn't take chances as we have done all season. But I think tonight's game, it's not. We're not nervous, Motherwell. Hearts are going to be so nervous here, especially if they go 1-0 down. How they're going to react to it? But I think the crowd and atmosphere is going to be massive tonight. Big game, and I'm so really looking forward to this, and I think it'll be a spectacular game of football.
I'm not sure that Hearts will be as tremulous as my namesake Hugh is suggesting. I think there will be a massive crowd. They'll fill that stand behind the goal, and they just look to me like a team who are confident in themselves, have a belief that beating Hearts, beating Hibs and then Rangers, I just believe that they think that, it's one or two good displays of character and they're over the line.
You've got to embrace it. You've got to see, as a player, Hearts, I know that, the fans will be nervous, of course they are, because they're so near the winning line, but as a player you've got to embrace that. It's brilliant, the fact that you're there, you've got an opportunity, it's in your hands to go and win this league. I totally agree with you. He's read my mind. I think it'll be a brilliant game of football. I think there'll be goals in it, but I don't think Hearts are leaving Firth Park with 3 points.
Has that Hibs result today put any extra pressure on Motherwell, Hugh?
Not at all. We don't. The way we play football, we don't play with any pressure, and I think you've seen that throughout the season. Going 1-0 down to Rangers at Firth Park, going down to 10 men. We didn't change the way we played football. We just continued to play the way we play. We do not feel pressure. You see it with the players. The fans are always there to support them, and I think they can feel that. There's no pressure coming from the stands at all. We just enjoy going watching the players doing what they do. Being the way they're playing is just phenomenal to watch. And again, I understand what Hugh's saying there about there's no pressure on Hearts. I think there is a pressure, but it's how they're going to handle the pressure. They've handled it well with Hibs and especially Rangers going 1-0, but they did big crowd at Tynecastle last week. Yes, there were a few thousand there today, but so will Motherwell. Motherwell's obviously going to have more fans here, but it's going to be how they handle it tonight, because they've not played well at Firth Park. So yeah, I'm actually really, this is probably the best game I'm looking forward to all season.
Well, the very start of the show today at 2 o'clock, Hugh, I pointed out that Hearts have not won at Firth Park in 3 years.
That's why I don't think they'll come away with 3 points tonight, and I don't think Celtic's going to get any points from Wednesday off us either.
I suppose what has happened in previous seasons maybe isn't as relevant, just because Hearts are so different this season and Motherwell are so different this season as well. Hearts did get the better of Motherwell in the last game between the sides. That was at Tynecastle, though you're not so confident Hearts will get a result, or do you think they will?
I'm leaning towards a Hearts result, I must say. I thought the way they celebrated after the Hibs game and the way they celebrated after the Rangers game, I thought they're celebrating like a team who have already won the league. I just think that in their minds, they know they're going to get it.
There's been question marks over pressure, and can Hearts handle it? I think they've answered that. They can handle the pressure, but the game tonight is interesting because Motherwell are a fantastic team. I think the manager, Jens Bertolascu, will be looking to try and take maximum points off a team that's sitting at top of the table. He'll take pride in that. He'll want his team to go and showcase the way they've been playing. It's an opportunity. It's on TV. So again, there's a lot of things for Motherwell to look forward to tonight. I agree with Hugh on the phone that Motherwell players aren't under as much pressure as Hearts. Of course they're not, because Hearts know what's at stake for them. They need to win this game, and if they win this game, they're in a real good position. But I just think it's going to be a fantastic game, an absolute blockbuster tonight, one that all the Scottish football fans will be looking forward to.
Thank you to Hugh. Let's get the other side of it, shall we? Alex is a Hearts fan up next. Are you feeling confident, Alex, or are there any concerns heading into this one?
I'm 100% confident tonight. I think Hearts will get the victory tonight, and hopefully so they drop points tomorrow and that's it over.
Well, that's a theory, that's a permutation, and I couldn't seriously dispute anything that you've said, because Hearts have topped the division for so long, and they're not so much a football team now as a movement. There's a football team and a support, and they're like a movement. They were the same at Easter Road, they were the same at Fir Park, and they were the same at Celtic Park on the last day of the season. I think if Hearts win tonight and Celtic lose tomorrow, forget it. It's all over.
I'm not even going that far, Hugh. I think if Hearts win tonight, right, I wouldn't even be looking at Celtic Rangers tomorrow, because I think that Hearts will go and win the league. I think they're a stick on if they come away from Fir Park with 3 points tonight. You look at their next home game on Wednesday night before they go to Celtic Park. They've got Falkirk, who's just been beat 3-1 at home with Hibs. Hearts in that stadium with the two guys up front that can bang in goals for fun, and with the fact that they're thinking, right, we can really stretch his goal difference here because Celtic are at Fir Park and that's got to be a difficult game. I think if Hearts go and beat, and they're capable of beating maybe Falkirk 3-4-0 or 3-4-1, job's done. I think it's all about tonight at Fir Park for me.
Alex, have you allowed yourself to dream about what's going to happen over the next week in potentially winning the title, or are you trying not to get too ahead of yourself?
Well, I was obviously really nervous about the game tonight, so I went and took myself to go and watch that new Michael Jackson movie to calm myself nails down before the football. So as I say, the game will take care of itself tonight. I think really Hearts have got to start Blair Spittle, because people ruled Hearts out against Hibs and Rangers, and Hearts have won both games. Blair Spittle being the player difference in both games, so I think he's really got to start tonight, and Hearts has got to go for it for the get-go.
Hearts, I was going to say, Hearts haven't been vintage over the past few weeks. You look at the start they had to the game against Hibs. Hibs were on top, ended up getting the red cards. Rangers were the better team in the first half against Hearts, but Hearts were much better in the second half. But it's not really mattered. Hearts are getting the results, they're picking up points, and it's just about Derek McInnes' side just getting out there by hook or by crook. You've got Claudio Braga, you've got Lawrence Shankland. They just seem to be finding a way.
Yeah, you've just got to get over the line. That's all it is all about. At this time of the season, get the 3 points, get the wins and move on, and they've managed to do that, so you've got to give them huge credit. I think Alex makes a brilliant point. Blair Spittle over the last couple of games has been outstanding. For me, when I watched the Rangers game, I thought he was so influential for Hearts. He was a driving force. He plays some brilliant forward passes. He links up really well with the front two. So again, I would be surprised if he doesn't play. He's an excellent footballer. He's really got a very good brain as well. So he's been excellent for Hearts. But it doesn't matter how Hearts win the game tonight. Absolutely not at all. No Hearts fan will care as long as they get 3 points. Because I'm with Daz. I think tonight is key for Hearts. I think it's a real defining moment in their season and where the title goes.
And it's a very good Michael Jackson film, I'd like to say. I've watched it, Alex. It's lovely. Great film.
Alex, what would it mean to you if Hearts could get it over the line this week?
Oh, I don't know. I'm going. It's not. I'm not thinking that far ahead yet. I'm meant to be going to that Piping Two Shots podcast next Saturday, so I don't know even if I'll make it or not.
Already potentially planning the celebration. I thought you might go and see another movie instead.
Yeah. It goes everywhere bar the football.
I think, I enjoyed making the podcast about Albert Kidd and the day that Hearts lost the league at Dundee 40 years ago. But I was at Paisley for Radio Clyde that day 40 years ago, and I understand the drama of the occasion and the hurt that the Hearts fans felt. I think if they do get the title, then it ends 40 years of suffering for those who are old enough to have remembered that day, those who have been brought up in the Hearts history and know the importance of that day. They haven't won the league since 1966, so you've got a 66-year wait ended. You've got a 40-year period of hurt ended. So I would understand how every man, woman and child who supports Hearts will feel if they win tonight, and what they'll feel is absolute elation.
Is it a strange balance of emotions, Alex, because you are obviously very confident in your team, and no wonder the way things have gone this season, but also having those nerves added into it as well?
That's a part of football, isn't it? It was obviously same as any game this season when people are saying, the bubble will burst, and we fought it all off and we're still top of that league for day one.
Well, thank you to Alex. We'll see what other films you might go and see on Wednesday and Saturday, just before those games.
He sounds like a man who's sitting there trembling.
The thing is, I think there will just be a lot of Hearts supporters that have got to the point where they've enjoyed so much about this season, but it'll be a hard week to enjoy the lead up to the games.
I think those who are not inside Fir Park and who are watching at home or in a pub or whatever, they will be beside themselves with anxiety. The people at Fir Park will go on with the singing and the jumping up and down and really getting into the match day experience, as they call it. But I shudder to think what people would be like in Edinburgh if Motherwell scored first.
Well, let's hear from the managers involved in that game later on. Let's start with Jens Bertel Askut.
We see ourselves wanting and trying to dominate every game in all phases of the game. And sometimes you obviously, especially against Hearts, you need to also deal with when they really put you under pressure and just flood the box with people in both open play and especially on set plays. So you need to, you need to defend the box with your life there. But we need to play the game as much as possible in our terms, because that is when we have been at our best, also against Hearts, when we've been able to do that. Knowing that they will also at times be successful in playing it on their terms, and then it's about really fighting and being smart and getting in the way and not kicking people when they're lying on the ground and trying to hit the goal into because apparently that's something new that you can do that and get away with that. But I think we are who we are. We try and get the best out of it, and that has put us in a position where there's no reason for us to change that.
Not that Jens is bitter.
And here are the thoughts of Derek McInnes.
I think anybody who actually questions the mentality now hasn't been watching us. It goes without saying, regardless of how this season plays out, you don't at Hearts get to 76 points with 3 games to go if you've not got a good mentality, because there's pressures at this club that you need to deal with. There's an insistence on winning games here and an expectation. So the players have answered that up time and time again. Positive results against both Rangers and Celtic. Positive results in the derbies. Strong at home. Can we go unbeaten at home and win our home games right to the end of the season? So all these things, mentality's never in question.
Yeah, huge game, that one at 8 o'clock. Let's focus on one of the matches today. Kilmarnock beating St Mirren 3-0. Simon is a Kilmarnock fan on the line. You must be delighted, Simon.
Hi guys, hope you're all doing well. Very fantastic Saturday afternoon. Just off the train there from Paisley. Apologies if it's very loud. There's 3,500 very happy Kilmarnock fans around me. So it's been an excellent afternoon.
What in particular did you enjoy about the performance?
I think it was the perfect away performance. St Mirren had quite a lot of the ball, so they did absolutely nothing with it. Which is what I kind of thought. I spoke to you last Saturday. I said that I was confident in this game. I thought in terms of attacking prowess, we're a better team. I think in terms of everything, we're a better football team. And I thought that would show today, and it did. St Mirren had a lot of the ball, as I say, did nothing with it. We just hit them in the counter in the first half. And in the second half, I think our quality showed when we moved Curtis out to the left. You know, he's an absolute, what a player he's going to be. Like, it's been an absolute privilege to watch him for a few weeks. And unfortunately, I know what's going to happen, which is going to be Rangers will sign some guy called Curtisinho, who'll play every week. He'll have a good first few weeks, and then he'll drop off, and Finlay will be left out. But yeah, it's been an absolute joy watching him, and he's made a huge difference along with Spola in the midfield.
Do you think that's Kilmarnock safe now?
I do, yeah. Like, never say never. And if there's a team who can mess it up from here, it's Kilmarnock. But we need St Mirren to win both games. Today they looked an absolute shadow of a football team. I think with the goal difference swing in the last 2 weeks as well is huge. I think it's 4.4 goals now, so probably a draw, especially given St Mirren's profligacy up front. I think a point on Tuesday against already safe Dundee, that'll see us up. But I fancy us to win, make it 3 wins in a row. And can I just say as well, for all the Kilmarnock fans that listen, what a joy it's been to actually see an away win, and especially such an emphatic one all season. I've been all over the country watching them. And that just made up for it. The atmosphere today, and you can probably still hear it around. And we've got this off the train like 10 minutes ago. So, it's made it worth it.
There must be some background noise cancelling going on Simon's phone, because I can tell that he's trying to. I can tell he's trying to shout. I can tell he's trying to shout over the noise, but we can't hear the noise in the background. But it will be some sort of noise cancelling thing in the background. As Simon says, perfect away performance for Kilmarnock, which is something that they've not really had.
I don't think the playoffs are even a topic of conversation for Kilmarnock now. It's over. It's done. Yep. St Mirren will have to play the winners of Dunfermline or Partick Thistle. And, Kilmarnock have won at home 3-0, followed by 3-0 away from home in successive weeks. Billy Dodds and Neil McCann have done what they were asked to do. They will go on from here. Finlay Curtis will go back to Rangers, and Rangers will regret that they let him go in the first place. But the playoffs in Kilmarnock are no longer a topic of conversation. It's for others to worry about, not Kilmarnock.
They've done their job today. Kilmarnock done their job, I've got to say today. That was a massive game for them. For me, St Mirren are going to end up in that place because Kilmarnock played Dundee at home midweek. Their home form's been really good. Dundee absolutely nothing to play for, so certainly St Mirren for me in the playoffs.
Thank you to Simon. Final chance to get your calls in. 01419511025. We'll speak to you next.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Any final thoughts, whether it's today's matches, whether you're looking ahead to Motherwell against Hearts tonight, whether you're looking ahead to Celtic against Rangers tomorrow? Get them in right now before 6 o'clock. 0141951 1025. We were hearing from Simon, the Kilmarnock fan, before the break. A 3-0 win for Kilmarnock over St Mirren. Looks as if Kilmarnock could well be safe this season. Let's hear what Neil McCann made of the performance.
I just said there, I'm so proud of the team because this was a big game today. We didn't understate it. In my opinion, I never mentioned anything that had been a must-win game or anything like that. I just said, look, we just go and we show our personality. Wanted me to be brave, wanted me to take risks. I said about taking risks and you'll get rewards. If you don't take any risk, then you become safe, and sometimes the rewards don't come. But I wasn't happy with them at half time. I said we were so loose in possession, gave the ball away too many times, and created problems for ourselves. So I wanted us to be cleaner in the second half. Always helps when you score early, but we were certainly a lot better on the ball. Played with that personality, as I said, the bravery. Could have been probably 4 or 5, but I'm just so pleased with the fans. The fans were brilliant today, that we send them home with 3 points, but we've not done anything yet other than win a game of football, and I think showing everyone that we're a right good side.
What about the St Mirren perspective? Robbie is in Paisley. Robbie, what did you make of that today?
It's so hard to sum it up at this point, Pan. I hope you are doing well, but I think Neil McCann probably summed it up very well in terms of how bad Kilmarnock won the first half, but we just never really got going either. So bad in possession, giving away the ball a lot of times. I thought Adolu probably played the worst 30 minutes I've seen all season for a player, to be honest. I thought it was really, really poor. But look, I don't want to single anybody out. That was a really embarrassing performance on the whole team. And that includes the manager as well, who I think the board have a really, really big decision to make tonight as to his future, because we're looking to going to finish 11th in my opinion. I don't see how we overturn a 4-point swing with the last two games. And we're looking ahead to a playoff against two very, very decent coaches in Neil Lennon and Mark Wilson.
So do you think St Mirren should change their manager ahead of the playoffs, Robbie?
I think it would be a very big risk, but it's a risk I'd personally take. I think someone with a bit more experience knows this situation. I think that's what we need. Most importantly, we need someone that knows how to guide us out of this. I think the changes that McLeish is making in games is actually making us worse. I thought the first half an hour we actually played okay in the ball for some of it, and then the changes that he makes at half time completely ruin our game, and Kilmarnock just run all over the top of us. It's
an interesting topic that you raise. I don't think that St Mirren will do that, throw Craig McLeish under the bus in that fashion. He'll simply have to do what he was asked to do, and that's keep them in the division. I did make the point earlier on that for someone so lacking in experience, he's about to meet one of two very experienced people in Neil Lennon and Mark Wilson. I just think St Mirren have made their bed, they have to lie in it now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've got to say, and nothing against the lad, and it's okay saying it now when you see a couple of defeats or whatever, but I thought that was a massive job to throw someone in with that experience. With the so less experience that he's got. He's never been at that level. Yes, he's been around the club, he's well thought of, and he came in at first and everybody was patting St Mirren in the back about, well, he's freed them up a little bit, he's allowed to go and let them play and whatever it may be, and it's looking good for them. I watched St Mirren and I always thought there's a danger here that they're just going to slip into a rot and they're going to start losing games and they don't know how to get out it. And I think that's exactly where they are just now.
I think it was a massive risk. I always said it at the time. Again, I think I mentioned Neil Lennon. Whether they could have got him or not from Dunfermline is unknown. But again, the position that St Mirren were in, they were in a real tough position when Craig McLeish took over. They were always in a relegation battle. And I just think putting an inexperienced manager in that position at that time, yes, you might get that initial bounce, but when the pressure comes, and the pressure's going to get even fiercer going into these playoffs, because St Mirren dropping out the league's disastrous for them. So I just felt as if it was a massive risk. Robbie, is there anyone out there that, I know you're saying I don't think they will change the manager at this moment, but is there anyone out there that sticks to your mind that they could get in short term?
Short term, I mean, the guy that we tried to go for last time, Tony Docherty, I think we tried to get him in as assistant manager. Look, if we were to fling the handbags at him and go, look, if you come in for a couple of weeks as gaffer and try and keep us up, I think I'd be more than reasonable for that. I think long term you're now looking at a situation where if we end up relegated, you're probably looking at getting another inexperienced manager in and not someone with experience. I think this is the time where I get what you guys are saying in terms of I think the club probably will stick with McLeish if you're looking for a club point of view, but for the fans I think we need to see change, because Craig's inability to change games is costing us points, and it's the reason we are where we are right now. And that's no just to single out Craig McLeish, by the way, because the players have really let themselves down and the whole club down as well. Their players should have enough fight, more than enough to stay up. Some of the players, we've got a goals, a forward, Mika Mandron, that's got 21 goal contributions this season. Where's he been the last couple of weeks? He's looked so isolated. We just looked so devoid of any ideas, and I know it was bad under Robinson as well, but that direct football is something that was tough to beat. We were tough to beat first and foremost, and we just don't look that anymore.
You're inviting someone to take a club for 2 games because they're not going to get out of this situation. I'm only talking about the playoff final against Dunfermline or Partick Thistle. You're inviting someone to take the club for 2 games and do lightning quick damage to his own reputation. I just think no one will take it under those circumstances, and what you have is what you're going to have to go with.
We'll stay on the line, Robbie. I want to get your thoughts on this, because here is what Craig McLeish said after the game.
There's loads of emotions flying about in there. Look, there's been some harsh kind of truths said as well. His frustration, his anger, ultimately from my point of view, is embarrassed to be the leader of that group that put that performance out there today, and said that to the boys, we owe the fans an apology for that, at least if we're
going to be in a difficult situation at the end of the season. At least go down swinging, at least go down fighting, and we didn't fight today. And that's not the whole group, and that was a bit like, I'm not going to single out individuals, but we have boys in there who are absolutely desperate and want to fight with us, and unfortunately there are boys who have probably been too fair to, continue to give opportunities to, and aren't fighting. I have to look at that. I have to take responsibility for it as well, and we have to go with boys that we can trust. Like, I bring a 16-year-old on the pitch and he runs his socks off. I'd rather be in a difficult situation with young boys who'll run their socks off and give absolutely everything and die on the pitch. And unfortunately, where we're at in the season, that there are boys who aren't doing that. But that's ultimately I put them on the pitch, so that's my fault.
It's quite a damning indictment of some of the players, isn't it, Robbie?
100%. Look, fair play to Douglas, because getting put in that situation, being 3 goals down, it couldn't have been easy for the guy, and I thought he gave everything he could have, to be honest with you. I think he nearly scored as well near the end of the game, so full credit to him. But the players, look, they've had multiple chances this season to turn around. We started off well under Craig, and I think the main frustration is we sort of knew this was coming, because look, you can shock teams for a couple of games and you can play a different way and it can work, but as soon as teams figure out how to break this down, I think you see Craig's inexperience to change, and you know that I don't want to feel like I'm coming on here and just slating Craig, but he should never have been put in this situation in the first place, and I think his inexperience shows that.
I think his inexperience also showed in his handling of a post-match press conference. Yep. He's been too explicit. He's describing a dressing room in disarray. He's saying that he is embarrassed by his players. Good luck to Luke Douglas in the future, but 16-year-olds are not going to pull St Mirren out of the problems that they are in right now.
The problem with listening to Craig McLeish there is he's got them players to get him out of this. St Mirren have them players at their disposal to get themselves out of this mess that they're in. And again, is it the right time to be really publicly criticising players and saying they're not in it with the club to try and get themselves out of this relegation battle?
So I suppose the players he's talking about don't sound as if they're going to play in the next couple of games.
But who is going to play? You know,
especially when you look at the bench that they had today, there were quite a few youngsters on the bench. You know, Luke Douglas, Rory Duff was on the bench as well, who's a youngster. Thomas Faulkner as well. You know, he knows these young players well, but they don't have a lot of depth in there. They've got injury issues. He can change the team going into Wednesday night's game, but there's not much to pull from.
As a man, listen, deep down inside, you've seen players at Les before. I've dealt with them, but see, as a manager, you know right now you've got to kid them on. You've got to keep them on side. You've got to get them working. You've got to. That is your job. I totally agree with you. I picked up on that when I was listening to his interview there. That's a guy that's under pressure, that's not experienced at that level to go out and handle that.
And he's also sounding under pressure. You know, we can't see him, but listening to him, you can imagine what he's like. He is undoubtedly feeling the strain. And I repeat, that's a dressing room in disarray.
Thank you to Robbie. That is all for the final thoughts on today's matches. Let's just take a look ahead to the 2 big ones. 8 o'clock tonight, Motherwell against Hearts at Fir Park. Tomorrow, midday, Celtic Park, Celtic against Rangers. What is the state of play going to be tomorrow at 2 o'clock?
The state of play, I think, will be that Hearts have won at Fir Park, and Celtic and Rangers will have to concede that there's no title for them.
Hearts will not go down the M8 to Edinburgh tonight with 3 points. There you go. My words on that.
Draw tonight, draw tomorrow.
Ooh. What about tomorrow for you? How's that looking?
I feel that it's only fair that I give that prediction tomorrow.
You're going to keep people in suspense?
Yeah.
I think the Dazzler's quite right, because you can't assess the mood, the tone, everything about that game tomorrow until you know what happens tonight.
Do you think tonight's game has a big impact on what happens tomorrow, how the teams approach the game?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
If Hearts are going to win this game tonight, right, Celtic will certainly have got to come out and win the game against Rangers. There are no ifs or buts. If they draw the game tonight or they lose, then okay, it gives Celtic a little bit of scope. But for me, if Hearts go to Fir Park tonight and beat Motherwell, which I don't think they will, they will eventually end up champions, and I think they'll do that by Wednesday night against Falkirk.
Final summary from you, Hugh, on what we saw today and what we are likely to see over the next 24 hours.
If I was a St Mirren supporter, I'd be deeply concerned tonight, because it sounds as if they're falling apart, and it sounds as if the interim manager is seriously feeling the strain that Martin O'Neill will feel and that Danny Rule will be determined by what happens in North Lanarkshire tonight.
Well, thank you to Gordon Dalziel, Cammy Bell and Hugh Keevins, but more importantly, thank you to you for listening in, phoning in, getting involved on social media or watching on the live stream. We are not done for the weekend. We will be back 11:45 tomorrow. The build-up and all the action from Celtic Park, all the reaction from what happens at Fir Park tonight, you will hear it here first. And up next for your Saturday night, it's the GBX.